What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Kirby's Barbecue YouTube channel. We're coming to you live. It's been a minute. I think YouTube told me it's been like 11 or 12 days, something like that, but we are back. I'll give a little bit of explanation here shortly, but we've got Greg from Brisket Daddy Barbecue on the podcast once again. Say hello to the people.
Let
We
me
still
unmute
got you
my
muted.
microphone. I muted
There
my
you go.
microphone. Sorry about that. Hello, everybody, and welcome in. Come on into this live stream as we get going talking tonight. Good to see everyone coming on in.
For sure. For sure. I missed you guys, man. I know I've been gone for a minute. Haven't posted any videos, haven't done any lives, nothing. People probably wondering where I'm at. But for those of you who know, you know. And we'll get into that here in a minute. But TJ, good evening, brother. Can't wait to see you here in about 30 days for the opening, a little bit over 30 days. Super excited, brother. Hope you're doing well and the family's doing well. Chinook Barbecue, good evening from Minnesota. Hope all is well. All is well, my friend. All is well. Greg, as well as myself, had a very busy weekend selling barbecue, and we'll talk about that as we get into it. Who else we got in here? Hope's Barbecue. Yo. What's going on, brother? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. If you're new to the stream, definitely leave it in the chat where you're coming in from. And we'd love to welcome you to the community. But as we get started here, we've got the cigar as usual. And today we got something a little bit different. We got some champagne. And there's a reason for the champagne, reason for the celebration is me and my wife just closed on a house and moved into a new house last week. Thank you. On Wednesday, which is our normal day for live streams, is Wednesdays. And so we were moving. We closed in the morning, Greg, early that morning, I think 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. And then we hurried back to our side of town, about an hour away. We had already kind of packed up the U-Haul the night before, but we still had some little things here and there to load up in the vehicles. And we spent the rest of the day just unpacking. We had family over that night, putting together furniture, all kinds of stuff, man. So definitely could not get a podcast in last week, but well worth it. We're super happy with the house and how everything turned out. So first time homeowners, and we're excited, man. Thank you, TJ. I appreciate that. So
it looks like you're out soaking a cigar right on the front patio this evening, huh?
back
Or
patio.
back
Yeah.
patio.
So we got a pretty decent sized backyard, to be honest.
Yeah.
So the dog's loving it, man, because and it goes back on both sides of the house too, little ways. Dog's loving it, man. For those of you who don't know, I have an 85-pound, 16-month-old German Shepherd named Ollie. We'll get to barbecue talk here in a minute, guys, I promise. But he is a handful. He's a ball of energy, and he's loving the new backyard. So, but Greg, let's get started, man. Tell us about your weekend selling barbecue. How'd it go?
Man, it was beyond wild, man. I had a great weekend. It started on a Friday. Actually, it started on a Wednesday, making potato salad, baked beans early this week. And then I put in 21 hours on Friday.
Wow.
Early morning cook starting at 4:30, and then into the evening and prepping the trailer and getting ready to hit the road, and then back up early on Saturday morning at 5:30 a.m. I had a great time out there. It rained a little bit in the morning during the load up hour, and then it sprinkled a little bit actually out during the day. And I think that's kind of why sales were hampered just a little bit. But it was a lot of work. I had a lot of new customers actually come out this week.
And you sold how many days did you sell this week?
I sold one day.
Oh, that was it? Just on Saturday?
That was it. That was just Saturday.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. I didn't know how many days you were out there this week.
Yeah, I know we didn't really speak on that, but yeah, that was one day. Saturday, I opened at 11 o'clock. I think I got there at 9:30, and I was open and ready by 11 o'clock. And I had a lot of people saying, "Yeah, we're going to come out and support. We're going to come out and support this weekend." And I didn't see those people. The people that showed up this weekend were the people who drove by and seen my new signs. I put some signs up, put a flag,
There you go.
and a lot of people kept saying, "Oh my gosh, it's something more than tacos."
Yep.
And oh, there's black people. So
I get both of those things. Oh, you guys are selling tacos, fantastic. And oh, it's black barbecue. I get that all the time. I don't know why, but whatever.
I don't know why. I don't know why, but I'm loving it, and people are responding very well, and supporting something new, and I'm loving it, and I'm really appreciative of their support.
Awesome, awesome. So you went out, you sold Saturday. Do you mind sharing your sales number, or is that something you want to keep a secret? So it's okay if you do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind because as we talk about this for people to grow and understand. I mean, there is a sales number, but then we have overhead cost, right? There's labor.
Of course.
I had one, two, three, four, five, 6 people, 7 people working on Saturday with me.
Wow.
Yeah, seven
Wow.
people.
Okay.
Yeah, and so and then many hours.
I hope you weren't paying all them people, man. That's too many people.
Actually, actually, they're young kids and they want the experience. So I have them set to a little, decent hourly rate, and keeping them out there for 5 hours. But I can do that because I don't have the overhead from, renting a facility
Yeah,
or any kind of overhead like things that you would see. Per
sure.
se, right? Or even a food truck. A food truck comes with overhead too because you're storing that six,
Right.
seven, $800 a month at a storage facility.
Okay, so we get it. No heavy overhead. You're paying kids, child labor, slave labor wages. I got you. How much money did you bring in this weekend, man? One day,
Uh, about
Saturday.
about 2,600.
That's what I'm talking about. Round of
Yeah,
applause.
yeah, yeah. It feels good, man. It
So
really
twenty six
does.
hundred bucks, $2,600 in sales on Saturday, and obviously that took a lot of hard work. You continue to get better and better at your craft and make time around your day job and family life and things like that. So, hats off to you, man, because you make it happen. But that just kind of goes to show, like learning from content creators, whether it be myself or someone else, about how to do the business I mean, you get a return on investment for sure. You get a big return on investment. I mean, I think you made a comment earlier. I won't say that comment, but you made a comment about like, man, I'm making kind of really pretty good money. You know what I mean? For going out on a Saturday as a side gig, making $2,600. Now you got food costs in there, obviously, but still, I
I
mean,
mean, but yeah,
you're bringing in
mhm.
revenue, bro. You're bringing
Yeah.
in
Even if
revenue.
my food cost was, 600 bucks, 800 bucks, and paying a few kids, a couple $100 added up all together between them. Yeah, you're still looking at a pretty good, decent
Yeah.
clearing number, right? Enough to stay
Yeah.
motivated to go out and definitely do it again.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if somebody's looking at this as a potential business or side business, obviously, guys, keep your day job until you really, really start taking off. But I mean, if you made over $2,500 on this weekend, times that by 4 weekends, you just made an extra 10. You just had an extra 10 grand a month
R-
come in,
r- and I
right?
haven't really that hasn't even really sunk in, and I haven't really realized that. So yeah, I'm not even a going out every guy weekend, right? I've got a
Yeah,
full-time job. I have a production company. I'm getting on a plane, and I'm out of town, out of state for this whole week,
right.
right? So yeah, if I was doing this every week, every
Come
weekend,
on.
yeah,
If and that's in
for
one
sure.
for you, you were able to do that in one day. So you just decide instead of working your
Right.
day job 5 days a week, you work your day job those 5 days a week, and you add a sixth work day for a period of
Mm-hmm.
time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
now you're doing and that you're bringing in an extra $10,000 a month in
A
revenue.
month.
Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
maybe let's just cut that in half. Just say 40 to 50% profit margin, then you're bringing an extra 4 to 5 grand a month in income that goes straight to your bank account. That's like
Yep.
having another full time job.
That
Five
is like
grand a
having
month. That's
another.
60 grand a year, bro.
And that's why that statement was made earlier about, hey, babe, ooh, what you're doing is kind of competing very well, if not,
Yeah,
over
yeah,
overdoing it in just a couple of days. So
Right.
Yeah, some shock and realization is kind of coming in, as this is my biggest day, my biggest cook. I did 9 briskets and 2 cases of ribs, which was
Yeah, I was gonna
about
say TJ just asked how much food did
yeah,
you bring out? You
yeah.
want to
I did
answer that? Go
9.
ahead.
Okay, yeah, I see that, TJ. Yep, I did 9 briskets and 2 cases of ribs, and I think a case has what, not 10 slabs in it, or 8 slabs in it, so 16 slabs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
6 cans of baked beans and 30 pounds of potato.
There you go. There you go. Well,
Hmm.
I'm just going to cue this up, right? So, like I said earlier, there is money to be made in this business if you do it the right way, if you know how to do it, if you can learn how to be profitable and do this business. So, if you're serious about doing this, and this isn't for everyone, but if you are someone in the chat that's serious about doing this or watching the stream or the replay, and you kind of need some more mentorship and guidance, join the channel at the Barbecue Business Coaching level. That way, I can help you. Greg can help you one on one grow your barbecue business to where you're able to do 25, 26, 27, $2,800 a day in your barbecue business. I think that's a pretty damn good return on investment for sure. Um, something, kind of some housekeeping on that too, is a few people have signed up for the coaching, but you haven't reached out to me. So I don't want you paying money and then
Hmm.
never getting to talk to me. That's not
Hmm.
not good
Hmm.
practice. So if you did sign up at that level, you need to reach out to me, ideally on Instagram. Reach out to me some way so you can get my phone number. That way I can talk to you and we can get the coaching started. But I want to get that out of the way because I don't like people sending me money and then I'm not helping them because they haven't reached out. So I don't have a
Well,
way through YouTube to reach out to
hmm
you. So you guys got to reach out to me. Let me know. Let me know your username. You signed up, and then we can get the coaching started.
and that's kind of what happened with me, Sean. I gave because I wanted to be a blessing. I knew I was going to be getting some coaching, um, and I think at the time I was like your 100th subscriber, I believe, to the or 1,000th subscriber to the channel, and then
Yep.
somebody else had joined subscribing.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I haven't gotten a chance to. I actually reached out to you a couple times and talked, and I still hadn't, actually committed. And
Yep.
then what I did, it was a game changer, and I'm glad that was one of the best decisions I made in my operations of business so far.
There you
And
go.
ever since then, yeah. And then like it took me a while. It actually took me a while to actually signed up, and then it's a couple weeks, and then finally, boom, and then sky's been the limit from there.
There you go. Game changer. Hope's Barbecue. Are you splitting the cook brisket with a hot hold overnight, or pork ribs, or and pork ribs the day of the event?
Yep, great
Yeah.
question. So the briskets go on at 6 a.m. and they come off at about 5 p.m. Right, and the ribs, because I
The day
want to
before. The
maximize
day
the
before.
the day before. Yes, so the day before, and I'm doing a hot hold. So they come off at 6 p.m. And so then I kind of like do a hot hold for a few hours, and then from there it's just a rest because I'm going back out. I'm going to be selling at 11 o'clock. So we typically can hold these briskets up to 12 hours. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean.
Yeah,
A
it depends
12-hour
on the
rest.
holding. It depends on the holding
The
unit,
holding.
right?
Okay.
It
Yep.
depends on how you're holding it. But ideally, a long rest, I believe, everybody has their own beliefs on this, but I believe in most of the top barbecue restaurants, whether it be just for uh, production, the production they're doing, but also in the quality, that a long rest time benefits the brisket. Not too long,
Hmm.
but a long rest time benefits the brisket. And if you have an electric food warmer that you can hold at a consistent temperature between 140 and 160 is what I've seen people go up to, then you're holding it at a very safe temperature. And I recommend you hold that for no longer than 24 hours. I think the sweet spot is 12 to 18 hours,
Is
but
that on
no
a hot?
longer
Is
than
that on a hot
24.
hold?
That's in
Is
a
that on
hot
a hot
hold
hold
unit.
to 12
Yeah.
hours?
Yes. 12,
So what
12
about
you,
guys?
if you're
Go.
using a cooler, if
Yep.
you're
Yep.
using a
Thank you.
cooler or a different method like that, you're not going to be able to hold it for 24 hours. Probably not even 12 hours. Probably not, because you got to make sure it's food safe. So you have to make sure you keep it out of the temperature danger zone for that whole entire time. So you if you're holding in a cooler, you're wrapping it up real tight, all that good stuff. That's fine. If you're doing a quick overnight, you're going to cook it for the family the next day for an early lunch, something like that. But if you're holding a brisket from 6 p.m. to 11 a.m. the next day to sell, you need to make sure it's in a controlled environment, ideally, because you got to make sure that that brisket is over 140 the entire time for sure. Um, yeah, for food safety and quality of the brisket for sure.
Yeah, so
But
I invested
hopes,
in
go ahead.
Camro cases. I invested in Camro cases, and they hold heat
Yep,
for 4 to 6 hours. And I
yep,
do spot check the temperatures and make sure. I've had to put something in the refrigerator,
yeah,
or put it back, on the smoker or on the gas range on the gas range, to
yep.
just keep that very low and slow.
Now, Camros are great, especially for day of service holding, because they are typically they're rated for 4 to 6 hours. But what you can also do is you can heat up the Cambro before you pull off your
Yes.
brisket. You can put a pot of boiling water, boiling hot water into that Cambro. Really get that environment nice and hot and moist before you put the briskets in there. And I don't know if it really gives you that much more time, like as far as keeping that warm, but it does make it a very moist and humid environment, which I like. But your best bet if you're going to cook the day before and hold it overnight until 11 o'clock is to go ahead and spend the money on a hot holding unit. And
Okay.
a point there, you don't have to go spend 4 grand on an Alto Sham or something crazy like that. Um, we have in Texas, we have a company called Ace Mart. It's a restaurant supply store, and they sell equipment. Okay, restaurant supply equipment. You have something like that in your state wherever you guys are tuning in from. Ours is Ace Mart. Okay, and they
Ours
have
is ours is
multiple different.
Cresco.
There you go. Yeah, Cresco has some great units, but they have different price points. Like I paid 1,200 for my hot holding unit, and it's fully insulated, and it works beautifully. Okay, it's the tall cabinet warmer. So once you start bringing in some money, that's a good. Those are a good type of unit to invest in for sure, for sure.
And
But yeah,
and then
we're
this
splitting
the
days.
second the
Go ahead.
second part of that question is, what about the ribs, the pork ribs, and so pork ribs were done, early in the morning,
Yep.
um,
Early
the
morning day of
day of,
service.
early morning day of service. The ribs were done, and then the links were done, right on the spot. Pull the smoker out and do it right on the spot.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's kind of what we teach, right, Greg? Is do your briskets the day before, let them get a good rest, and then everything else is pretty much cooked day of for
Hmm.
the most part. John Morris says hello. What's going on, John? Hope you're
Hey,
doing well,
John.
brother.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining, John.
JM, I preheat my cooler by filling it with hot water for about 30 to 60 minutes. Yep, that's the way to do it. You want to preheat those for sure. Hope's Barbecue, thank y'all for the insight. I'm located in San Antonio, Texas, so I'm familiar with A Smart. There you go. I typically hot hold, then transfer to my insulated Cambro. Pork ribs, I've never been able to hold the same way as brisket. Yeah, no, you're not going to be able to hot hold ribs the same way as brisket, because that brisket is just such a large piece of meat. The anatomy of the cow, I don't know. It keeps heat very, very well. Whereas pork ribs, they're too skinny, man. There's not enough meat on the bone to hold that for an extended period of time. But yeah, cook those. That's
So,
where you get those 4 a.m., 6 a.m. ribs, depending on how hot you're cooking.
So are you opposed to, or we want everything as fresh as possible, right? So, let's just say you came into a situation where you had to cook your pork ribs the day before and you're either
Uh-huh.
reheating or whatnot. Is that acceptable? Obviously we know we do have to refrigerate them, right? Because they're not going to be able to hold
Right,
that
right.
temperature. I've
Um,
never had
I
to refrigerate ribs. So, when we refrigerate food, it always comes out better.
I don't know about that. But I mean, it depends, right? Because people come onto the channel. A lot of people on this channel are people who are selling their barbecue or looking to sell their barbecue. But we also have guys on the channel who are just, backyard cooks, cooking for the family, friends, things like that. So, I mean, it's a different level. It's a different, if it, I don't want to say level, but it's a different expectation because if you're serving barbecue for your friends and family, it's a casual environment. If they're not award-winning competition ribs, no one's really going to care. It's free barbecue. If it tastes good, you're fine. But when it comes to kind of selling, like you're selling ribs at $30 a pound, yeah, those better be fresh. Those better be fresh. They better be tender. They better have the right seasoning level. They better be juicy. They better be hot. You know what I'm saying? You can't really get away long term with refrigerating something the day before and then selling it the next day. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna be the best product you can put out, and people aren't gonna want to pay for it. So yeah. I wouldn't advise it if you're selling, but if you're cooking for the family, it is what it is. Got to do what you got to do. But
Gotta do
awesome,
what you
guys.
gotta do.
So we actually had a really good weekend as well. We had a really good weekend as well. And today specifically, we opened at 11. We were completely sold out, not an ounce of protein left by 1 o'clock.
Mm.
Sold out in 3 hours flat. It
And what were
was
those proteins?
so we did brisket, ribs, turkey, sausage, baked beans, slaw, elote, and potato salad. Then obviously we had all the fixings, the house made barbecue sauce, pickles, onions, jalapenos, bread, all that good stuff. Oh, and one of our newest items, the chocolate pecan pie. Sold all of those.
Mm.
We went through 14 pies this weekend. Now, granted, we gave some pieces away and stuff like that. I had to give one to the neighbor and so on and so forth, right? We gave some pies away, but yeah, it was good. It was a really good weekend, solid. Our busiest weekend yet.
Yeah, same here. Now, were these biggest the 10-inch pies or single serving pies?
They were, yeah, 10 inch. I think they're probably about 10 inch, maybe 8 inch. No, I mean
Yeah.
they're big pie, like they're whole
Oh, you got
pies.
a whole pie.
Yeah, yeah, a whole pie. Yeah, no, yeah, a whole pie. So it was good, man. It was good. We we actually got shouted out by one of the
Yes,
county's actual platforms, one of their social
I
media
see that.
platforms, and that was big. A lot of people came in because they saw the post on Facebook and Instagram, and overall, just a great weekend. All the food that went out, I'm super happy with. Sometimes a specific item might not come out exactly the way you wanted it to. Doesn't mean it came out bad. It just wasn't, perfect, right? I
Hmm.
tell you what, man, this weekend, I don't think there was a single plate that went out that I wasn't 100% satisfied with. I mean, everything was on point, and I'm glad it was because we reached a lot of new people this weekend.
Unfortunately, I can't say the same. I had, I think, two dishes go out that I was not happy with. I turned around looking for the dish, and it had already been sent out, and the customer
Uh-oh.
was gone. Yeah, and I woke up this morning. And I knew the customer personally, especially when you see a few repeat customers, and you want to make sure
Yeah,
things are right, especially for a few particular people.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and yeah, I reached out to them this morning. It was like, hey, how is that situation? And oh, they said, oh, my fries weren't as hot as I like them, but it was excellent. I said, yep, that's exactly what I thought because I was making you a new batch, and I turned around and your order was filled. So
Yeah,
I told them I love making things right. I love making people whole because that's how I would want to be treated.
sure.
So I offered to comp them on their next meal,
Yep.
and they were like, no, I still ate it. It was perfectly fine, just not as hot as I would like for it to be, but you're
Yeah.
perfectly fine, and I'll be back.
Yeah.
So there was that
You know what I
one.
recommend in that situation?
What is that?
When they come back, if they don't want the comp, you throw something in the extra.
Hmm.
Throw them an extra quarter pound of brisket, or get them a slice of pie, or so, whatever you're
Hmm.
serving, and that'll just take it over the top for them. Because a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to ask for my money back, but if you add something to it, then they're super happy about it.
Another customer texted me on the Facebook chat and said, "Hey, I got fries and my brisket seemed like it was burnt." And she just was like, "My acid reflex, this and that."
Yeah.
And I couldn't message her back or anything because it wasn't available. And so she was a person that I knew from the church. So when I seen her this morning, I already had $20 in my pocket, ready to slip into her hand. And when I
Yep.
did that, she was just like, "Wait, what? What is this for?" And I said, "You said your meal wasn't well." And she was like, "Well, I wasn't expecting you to do this." I know you weren't, but this is how I operate. It's
Yeah.
it's not it's not worth it to me. Like I said, when I started, I was giving away brisket. So, the fact that people are coming out to buy my food, if you don't feel 100% satisfied, I'm going to make you whole.
Right.
And then the last two customers, I had two texts again to my business line, and both of them said, "Hey, your food was amazing, but I didn't get my potato salad." I didn't get
Yeah.
my potato salad. So I told
Mm.
both of them again, "Great. So sorry about that. When you come out, your next meal's on me. If it's a rib dinner, if it's a brisket fry, if it's a $30 plate, whatever you want, it's on me because I forgot their single $2 potato salad, right?"
Yep.
I just think that's just what's so important to running a good business.
For sure. For sure. JM says, I always ask for feedback on my cooking, good or bad. That's how you learn. 100%. And to turn that up a level, once you get put on Google and you got Google reviews, then you really got to make sure stuff's on point because people will let you know. People will let you know, and not in the way you want it.
Yeah, yeah, they will.
Te-
They will.
Tejano Smoking Barbecue. Hey guys, how was y'all's weekend? We just talked about that Tejano. It was great, man. It was great. We both had record days, record weekends. It was a great weekend, man. Sold a lot of barbecue. Uh, MSL 1971 says, "Hey Brisket Daddy, I have a barbecue catering business near you, outside Modesto. Uh oh, you got competition, my friend. Finding meat for a reasonable price is a struggle. Where do you purchase your meat?"
Yeah, I have a wholesale account with Calvada, Calvada, Calvada Meats on Richards Boulevard in Sacramento.
You
And I'm
sounded like you didn't
currently
want to give that one up.
no, no, no. I was just trying to make sure I got the right name there. Calvada Meats briskets. I'm doing $3.99 a pound on the briskets, and a case of ribs is like $90.
Okay. Okay. There you go.
Yep,
He gave
yep,
up the plug. He gave up the
yep.
plug for the competition, no less.
But I've learned from you that this world is big, man. There's no
Yeah.
competition. I mean, there's more than enough. Everybody's gonna have a different flavor, a different sauce, a different style, and there's a
Yep.
lot of foodies, especially in California. There's a lot of foodies, and
Yep.
so I think your gift will make room for you for sure.
100%. There's no competition, man.
No, it's a big
There's no
community.
competition. No, your only competition is yourself.
Is yourself.
Carly, hello. Hello. Appreciate you stopping in. MSL said, thank you. Telly, yo, what's good? Guy, keep up the good work. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
We
the competition
appreciate
is
it.
definitely just yourself, making sure that you can stay up all these
He
hours on the
said,
solo tip,
LOL.
getting it done. No competition. I don't go
he
near
said
Sacramento.
he said he ain't going into your hood, man. He said, I'm staying away from your hood, brother.
Yeah, but we got a couple miles in between us, anyways. Oh, Fort Queens.
Fort Queens, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, I think I reached out, liked a few of the pictures and stuff. I think he did some promo stuff too that was really good. People have been taking
Yeah,
the promo advice and selling them. Speaking of selling
selling
yourself,
themselves. What you got? Hey, oh my God, that's a big hat.
bro, I'm loving it too, man.
Look at
I'm loving it too. Right there, people. I go through the store and everything, and
no,
people
you
just it
don't.
just
You
yeah, I
lying?
do. I wore it the car. I wore it all day. I wore it at the church house today. I wear it everywhere. Everywhere but
Wow,
sleep.
that's a big ass hat. My man took the marketing to the extreme.
To the extreme. Hey, if it's gonna sell a brisket, I'm wearing it.
This guy, Hope's Barbecue. How about Kirby? Do you hit up the depot? Like the Restaurant Depot, no, I don't do Restaurant
Oh,
Depot.
you don't, huh?
No, I've never been. We got a bunch of them around here, but I've never been. I use Gordon Food Service. That's who I use for my ordering.
Yeah, I
That's who
wasn't
I
I wasn't all
use.
that happy with Restaurant Depot myself. The pricing just
Four
wasn't there.
Queens. I have a lot of events coming up. Can't wait to share. Yeah, man. Let's talk about it for sure. Let's talk about it. Reach out. Let's talk about it, man. You got lots of events. We got someone screaming bloody murder over there in Sacramento.
Yeah, speaking of that, Fort Queens, I have a big event coming up too in 1 month. May 16th, it'll be my first official community event. It's going to be at Stone Lake Elementary School here in Sacramento, actually in the city of Elk Grove.
Okay.
Um, and I'll
That
be a
sounds
food vendor.
fancy.
Yeah, Stone Lake Elementary. It's in a nice neighborhood where they
Okay.
love
Okay.
brisket.
Man,
1,200 people.
1,200. I hope
1,200
you got
people.
all them. I hope you got all them help, all them hands you was talking about. I hope you got
Eh,
all them people for that event, man. That's gonna be a beast.
It is. I'm just gonna do sandwiches and fries. Keep it simple, like just I can just bust out sandwiches and have some brisket fries and regular fries ready. It's an ice cream social at a school.
Okay. Okay.
So
Shoot, 1,200 people. That's big. That's a big school
yeah, it's
for
open to
sure.
the public. So jump house,
Oh,
music, games,
okay.
everything.
Okay. Okay. Guys, if you want to support the channel, super chat in the live. You're able to send super chats. Also, that'll get your comment pushed to the top so we can read that, and we certainly would appreciate it. Also, go like, comment, share this video, and subscribe to the Brisket Daddy Barbecue YouTube channel. Subscribe to this channel if you're not already. You guys know we do appreciate it. Also, guys, remember Kirby's Barbecue grand opening is May 30th through June 1st. I had to think about that for a second. May 30th through June 1st. It's going down. Okay. Kirby's Barbecue, New Caney, Texas. We're going to do a big grand opening. We're going to have lots of games, festivities, some music going. We get to show off the new smoker, the new smoke shack, all that good stuff. We're going to be serving up a lot of menu items. We might even do beef ribs that weekend. I'm thinking about it. We
Ooh.
might do beef ribs just kind of as a special for the
Hmm.
grand opening weekend. We'll see. They're kind of expensive for me. They're expensive for the customers. So I don't know. We'll see. I think people will buy them though. I think
I'll
people will
buy
buy
one.
them.
I'll buy
There
a
you go.
rib. I'll take a rib.
It's a lot of meat, man. It's a lot of meat. I think most
So
places, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys that are selling barbecue or what you've seen if you've been to a barbecue place, what they're selling beef ribs for. Because if I'm
mhm.
not mistaken, I think most people are selling beef ribs for like 28 bucks. Because they're big, man. It's a lot of meat. Like you really, if you get a beef rib, you're not eating a lot of anything else. If you're finishing that thing by yourself, it's a
Mm-mm.
lot.
Mhm.
So, but I think $28 is what they're really going for when
S-
people sell it, but I could be
So
wrong.
that's not by the pound?
I don't
Oh,
think
it's
so.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, because you can't control, like somebody can't just order a specific poundage of it, right? Because on a bone most of the time, because it's the beef ribs, the dino ribs, they're cut into single
Yes.
ribs, so you
Yes.
got to buy the whole rib. So I think people just
Yeah.
price them
Well,
by. I
what I
could be,
remember
like I said, I
going,
could be wrong.
yeah, I remember going to the spot there in Texas and Terry Black there, and they
Terry Black.
were, yeah, I remember them putting that on the scale specifically.
Like I
But
said, I haven't sold them yet. I could be wrong. I could be
it is
wrong.
gonna, it is gonna be lit for Queens.
But yeah, we might do some beef ribs. We might do them.
So are beef ribs always considered dino ribs, or are those something different?
My understanding is the same thing
Okay.
as long as they're big, man.
Okay.
That's my understanding, at least. My understanding. That's right, Fort Queens. I hope you're coming through, brother. I hope you're coming through. He also said, "Brisket Daddy, I'm loving the hat."
Yes.
There you go.
Everybody's definitely like,
Where'd you get that made, man?
yeah. So I'll give him a plug right here. What does that say? Noggin, Noggin Boss, N-
Nogginboss.com. Wow.
Noggin Boss. Yeah.
I'm
It's
assuming they sell regular size hats as well, right?
No, 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 no. It's just a big noggin boss. I seen them on the Shark Tank show, and then it popped up on my Instagram feed. And they sell hats for like different sports teams and stuff. Sports
Okay.
hats. And then they have a
Yeah.
section where you can make your own custom hat. And I've been asking my graphic guy to get me a hat. I paid for an order of hats. He hasn't delivered in about 3 months. So I
Oh
said,
no.
yeah, right. I'm just
Gotta
gonna
get
do
that
my
money
own
back.
thing. Yeah, I am. I am. I got all my patches and stuff, but
Yeah.
he hasn't been able to produce anything. So I just took the leap to do it myself.
It's bad business, man. It's
It
bad
is.
business. Barbecue and Southern Soul Treats. Good evening. I appreciate all the advice you brothers are giving. Much love and respect. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you for stopping in. Any of you guys have experience with beef ribs? Educate us. Are you selling them by the pound? Are you selling them by the bone? What are you guys doing as far as the dino beef ribs? We want to know, genuinely want to know, because we're thinking
No,
about serving it.
yeah, seriously, and it's weird that we're on this conversation because I had a lot of people wanting ribs this weekend. Well, ribs is what they're coming for. I sell the brisket, but they're coming for the ribs. And
Okay.
I had 4 orders of half racks of ribs, and I really wasn't prepared for the pricing on a half rack of ribs.
Okay.
And so some people charge by the pound. A lot of people are like, "Hey, how
Yep.
much is a pound? Pounds, 2 pounds of ribs or whatever." And I really wasn't. I wasn't able to equate. I had no idea what the weight of a rib was,
Yeah.
and I really wasn't even ready for the pricing for a half slab or a full slab of ribs. So, can we talk
Right.
about that for a few minutes in your experience, Sean?
Yeah. Yeah. So occasionally I do have people ask. Okay. And it's a little tricky because you want to give people good deals when they're buying in bulk, but at the same time, you don't want to lose your butt too, especially if you're not cooking a lot of ribs. There's barbecue places out here that sell a whole rack of ribs. If someone wants a whole rack, they'll sell it for $30 or $40, which is cool. Yeah, I mean, you're making profit because typically a rack of pork spare ribs is going to cost you between $9 and $10 typically at wholesale price, about $10. So if you're selling the whole rack for 30, $40, that's a hell of a profit margin. That's great. But you got to keep in mind, what are you selling it by the pound on your menu, right? Because I'll give you an example. Right now I'm making about 3 to 4 racks of ribs a day. Okay. And I set my ribs on my menu are $30 a pound. Well, a pound of ribs is about 4 ribs. Okay. So if I'm selling it for $30 a pound and you get 4 ribs for that, and then I tell the next guy, yeah, give me $30 for a whole rack. It doesn't really equate, right? Or $40 for a
Mm-hmm.
whole rack. So just know if you're selling it by the rack, then you're potentially losing money because you could have been selling it by the pound, right? Now, for the barbecue restaurants that are making, am I making sense? Am I making sense?
You are.
Okay.
You are.
That
You are.
but if you're a barbecue restaurant making say 25 to 40 racks of ribs a day, then who cares? Yeah, sell it to them for $40 or whatever, right? But it's also kind of awkward to tell somebody, hey, yeah, can I get it? They say, can I get a rack of ribs? And you're like, yeah, it's 45. It's like, oh, I don't know. That sounds like a lot, but at the same time, you're selling them for $30 a pound. So
Yeah.
that's really a
Yeah.
good deal, 45 for
Yeah.
the rack, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It is kind of awkward though, like you mentioned, right? It's like, oh man, I don't really know how to price this.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm selling 3 ribs with baked beans and potato salad and a soda for 25.
Yeah,
Right. So
3 ribs,
if you're
big
saying a
beans.
rack of,
Yeah.
yeah, 3 ribs, yeah, and a half rack of ribs. Well, a full rack is 14 ribs, right? There's 14 bones, just about on a full rack of
Okay.
ribs, depending on what brand you buy, but usually
And
it's about
how you're trimming
14.
it, right?
On how you're trimming it, right?
Yeah. Right.
So 14 bones. So half rack is 7 bones.
Yeah. It's an
Food costs,
interesting
yeah.
subject. It's an interesting subject for sure. But typically, like you mentioned, it's kind of a balance, right? So I have like anybody can go to kirbysbarbecue.com. You guys can log in a different tab and go to kirbysbarbecue.com right now. You can see my full menu, right? And if you go there and you see my full menu, let me see if I can pull it up. Let's do this. This will be good. That way people can ask questions. You can ask kind of some questions on pricing and whatnot. Let's do this. Let me go present, share screen. Let's go. Let's see if it'll, is it going to let me?
Yeah, TJ, I see your comment here. It says food costs. Yes, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, you can definitely say, okay, let me look at Kirby's menu. Let me look at the Smokehouse menu, and you can kind of gauge, what their pricings are. And I know Sean's talked about this. Hey, you taste other people's barbecue, and you say, oh, mine's just as good or not as good, and you want to price it close. And I think when you start getting to Sean's level, you're gonna really start looking at your food costs and saying, okay, it's costing me $10 to buy a slab of ribs, and I need to be marking that up, by three or four to cover my labor, my and all of my
Yeah.
expenses and wood to be doing that. So,
Yep.
as all remember, as we're talking about these food costs and looking at these menus, the prices for you to buy meat in Texas and California and wherever you are going to be different. So you have to really understand what your food costs are and what your customers are going to want. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're spot on with that commentary 100% because everyone's concept's going to be a little bit different. You don't have all the overhead I have, right? So you can be a little bit more customer friendly in your pricing because you're not paying rent. You don't have, yes, you're paying some staff, right? But um, you're not paying them a ridiculous sum or anything like that, right? So it all depends on your expenses because people think about, your customers just think about the food. All they're thinking about is the food. They're thinking if I go to the grocery store, I can pick up a rack of ribs for $10, $12. So why is this guy charging me $30 for four ribs? But what sometimes they're not taking account as well. He's got to pay rent for this building. He's got to pay electricity. He's got to pay employees. He's got to pay wood, like you mentioned. All of those things you have to calculate into your pricing. And depending on your concept, if you have a food truck, a trailer, you're just doing a pop up tent, all of those things are going to, impact your bottom line. Because, like I said, at the end of the day, they might just be looking at food costs. But you have to have, and this is something we talk about in coaching, which Greg and I are going to get into a little bit further soon with Brisket Daddy, is you need to be running, if you're going out consistently, you need to be running a P&L, a profit and loss sheet. And that's got to include everything from your wood costs, your electricity, your rent, your employees, everything. Everything. If you got a food truck, how much are you paying in gas for your generator, so on and so forth. So let's take a look at this menu here. So we sell our meats by the pound right there because we do have a lot of customers who come in and they just want to buy the meats. And so those prices are there accordingly, right? And I'll be honest with you guys, when people order, I do give them a little bit extra meat
Every
because I want to
time,
make sure every time,
every
because
time.
guys, for me, half half a pound of pork ribs, right? So we got pork ribs at $30 a pound. Half a pound of pork ribs is really only two ribs, and people are paying $15 for two ribs. So usually, I'll throw an extra one or two ribs in there, so they might actually be getting closer to a pound, right? Because I just want to make sure that that customer is happy every time. I know I'm still making money. I want to make sure they're happy. I want to make sure they come back and order. So there's some nuance in this stuff, right? But prices by the pound. Brisket, $34 a pound. Pork spare ribs, $30 a pound. And interject anytime you want, Greg, if you have questions, man. Turkey, we got at $30 a pound. And then we sell our house made hot jalapeno beer sausages for $6 a link. And those are pretty good sized sausage links. Anything you think we should go over on the by the pound? I can't see the comments, so you're gonna have to let me know if someone's asking questions.
Okay.
If
I'm
somebody's
not in the
asking,
I'm not in the YouTube, looking at the YouTube
oh,
broadcast,
I
but I'll
see, I
jump
see.
over there on another tab and I'll do that. But I do like
Okay.
100% what you said in regards to giving customers a little bit more. There's never been a time to where if a person's ordering a half a pound, I mean, they're probably going to get close to a pound, because
Right,
because as I'm serving it and I'm putting it on, the scale, and I'm uh, like it doesn't look like a lot of meat. It really
right.
doesn't. And you're like, yeah, and I really want to make sure that this person is going to be able to feed whoever they're trying to feed. So, I'm probably going to always add on about a quarter pound extra of meat if they're ordering by the pound. It
Yep.
just happens that way.
And
I could
and
be over.
people,
I could be over. Let me interrupt you real quick. I could be over. I
yeah,
already know I'm over, and I'm wrapping it up. And because the meat is so close, as I'm wrapping, I'll just be like, boom, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
just to give them one little extra piece. Like you said, it's not hurting me any. I love feeding the people, and I want to make sure that they're really satisfied with their meal.
right, right. Hope's Barbecue says might be safest to just sell it at weight, keeps it fair for everyone. Yeah, very true, very true. Tejano Smoking Barbecue says you're not just buying the meat, you're paying attention. You're paying for the craft of cooking the meat. Beef is beef all day, but the taste and preparation of how it is cooked is what you're paying for. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So we got our meat by the pound prices. Any questions there, Greg? Before I move on.
Nope, nope, we're good. Are you able to see the
Cool.
comments now?
Yeah.
Because I
Well.
seen
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
actually, when you bring it up here, I can see them. Then yes,
Cool.
but I
Cool.
am on the I
And
am on the YouTube channel going. Yep, go ahead.
gotcha. Okay, cool. So then we have the Texas Trinity, which is those
Hmm.
are our plate options. So we have two plate options. We do a Texas Trinity for one person. So somebody just comes in, they don't want a sandwich, they don't want to buy by the pound, they kind of want to try a lot of what we have to offer, but they don't want to pay $50, right? It's one person. So we do the Texas Trinity plate for one person. That gets them a quarter pound of brisket, quarter pound of ribs, a sausage link, and their choice of two of our side items, $28. Somebody orders that, man, they're going to be nice and full. They pretty much got to try almost everything on the menu, and they're going to be very, very happy. And then conversely, right, we have the Texas Trinity for two people. Couple comes in, they kind of want, they're new to the place, they want to try a little bit of everything, they don't know what to order. Hey, you should get that Texas Trinity. It's going to give you a good variety of what we have to offer with some very generous portions, right? So half a pound of brisket, half a pound of ribs, two sausage links, and two sides. Man, those trays, if you guys haven't seen them, you look on my Instagram. I've taken a couple pictures of that Trinity plate, and man, they look great. They look great. When you bring it out to the table, people's faces are just like, "Oh my god,"
All the
which
way
is really
down
what.
to the white slices of bread.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and that's what you really want to do because when somebody comes in and they drop $50, because right, it's 48, but after taxes, you're paying $50, $52, whatever it is. Somebody comes in, drops $50, you want to make sure that that plate looks like they got $50 worth of food. And if they leave feeling full, they need a to go box, they're going to feel like they got their money's worth. So that's how we do it there. Then we have our sandwiches. We serve all. This is a little tip for you too. Serve your sandwiches with chips and a drink because that allows you to charge a little bit higher price, and you're not giving out a very high dollar item. Chips and drinks are cheap, right? So if I were to just sell these sandwiches by themselves, I'm selling them for $10. Well, if you add chips and a drink, now it goes up to 15, $17, depending on the sandwich, and you've just increased, your profit margin dramatically, right? So we do the sliced turkey sandwich with chips and a drink, 15, chopped brisket, chips and a drink, 15, and then our Tipsy Texan, which has got two meats on it, the brisket, sausage, and slaw on it, with chips and a drink, we do for $17. And so you get somebody a meal that they can eat, right? If they go to Subway, they're going to get a sandwich, chips, and a drink. They go to McDonald's, they're going to get a burger, chips, and a drink. That's your combo meal. And if you go to any of those places, maybe not McDonald's. McDonald's might be a little bit cheaper depending on the burger you get. But by the time you get a quarter pounder, cheese and bacon, a large fry, and a large Dr. Pepper, bro, you're paying $15, even at McDonald's.
It's a little bit more here in California, but yes, sir. You can't
Yeah,
eat anywhere here for less than $20 a person.
there
It's
you go.
just I mean, and it took me a while to really, I was just again, I was giving it away for free. I went out one day and said, "Hey, it's $9." It went to 11, and I stuck at 13 for the longest. And I just recently raised my price, and I'm glad that I did because this is way too much work, and I don't need to be slaving in the kitchen for somebody else just to be able to sit back and just enjoy it for just a few bucks, right?
Yep.
You can't. Every
Yep.
time I take the family out to go eat, like I'm paying $125 wherever I go, four people.
Yeah.
S- So it shouldn't
Yeah.
be any different for me going out selling the food just because I'm, little Greg. You know,
And
the guy we know.
yeah, but see, there you go. And what I tell you, you said, the homies ain't gonna remember you, bro. Well, if you have to go out of business because you're not making enough money, the homies ain't gonna. They're not gonna pitch in and pay your rent, man. You got to charge what you're worth because, just like you said, you go anywhere with the family, you're gonna drop a hundo. So why should it be any different going to
Mhm.
your place, right? We missed a comment. We missed a comment. TJ put, I just got 2 slabs of beef ribs for Easter weekend. Food cost was right at $90 for 2 slabs of beef ribs. Okay, okay. How many
TJ,
TJ? How
go
many
ahead.
ribs come on that? That's what I want to know.
And were they big dino ribs or just beef ribs? Because I've never seen dino ribs unless they were like served to me. But I've never seen them at like the Costco, and then I have never requested for them at my meat supplier.
I've never
But
seen them
yeah,
at a
let us.
grocery store either.
Yeah, not dinos, regular beef ribs, right? You've seen regular beef ribs,
Yeah,
but
but they're
not dino
tiny, man.
ribs.
Yeah,
Compared to the dino ribs, yeah, they're tiny.
right. Compared to what you see at Texas barbecue restaurants, it's nothing like
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, your
Yeah. Let
average
us know.
logical thinker. What's
Yep.
up? What's up?
Yeah.
I hope you're
There,
doing well.
there she is. Yep. Yep.
I hope you were well in this
I
crazy, crazy 2025 world.
I got to make time and actually get online and check her content out and her
You
page. And
do.
I mean, yeah, I really do.
She's got some solid content. She's very consistent, and she has a variety. Like she posts videos, she posts shorts, she posts live streams, all kinds of stuff. So very diverse. She's definitely beaten us on consistency of posting.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
Yeah. You were encouraging me to do that too. And I recorded a lot of content this week. I just
Okay,
haven't had the time. I just haven't had the time to even like really look at it. it's,
to get them
it's
out
just a,
there.
yeah, it's just a lot.
Okay. Let's finish this menu and get back to the comments. So
Yep. Go ahead.
we just finished sandwiches. Then we got our side items. So we sell our coleslaw at $4, and that's a 16-ounce cup. So
Oh,
what is that?
wow.
16 ounces? What is that? A pint? Is
That's a
that right? Yeah, that's a pint. Yeah.
Well,
So
four
16
ounces,
ounce
is
cup.
16 ounces. Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yep.
That's a lot of each item. Baked beans also 16 ounces.
Every Yep. All the sides are 16 ounces.
Oh
So
wow,
uh, yeah. So we do that because we want to make sure once again people are getting their money's worth. And a 16-ounce side of coleslaw or beans or elote or potato salad, that's typically enough for 2 people
it
to
is.
eat.
It's
Like
very
if
much
you're
because
coming
yes,
in, yeah, like, and we even do that for the Texas Trinity for one, where it's one person. We're not cutting them on the side. They still get the full 16-ounce cup
16
for the side.
ounces.
So typically they're taking sides home. They're probably taking half a sausage leg home and a little bit of brisket or something like that. So we try to give them their money's worth. We try to give them their money's worth. So slaw, we do
So,
$4. Go
uh
ahead.
huh. So if I'm getting the Texas Trinity for one, and I'm getting two sides, I'm getting 16 ounces of coleslaw, and I'm getting 16 ounces of baked beans.
Yep, yep. We don't change the side portion just for the difference. The only difference on the Trinities is the amount of meat. Obviously, that's the big cost item. The sides we usually already have dished up, at least the cold sides, and there's nothing. It's not appealing. See, because at first I was like, well, I'll just fill half of the 16-ounce cup, so it's 8 ounces. It's half, but that's not really appealing. It's like, man, you feel like you got gypped. You got half a side, right? When the cup's only halfway filled. So we fill that bad boy up, man. We fill that thing up so they feel like they're getting their money's worth and they're good to go. You know?
Yeah,
Uh,
my prep person did the same thing this week. I served 8 ounces for the $5 price, and
okay,
but this week the potato salad containers looked halfway full, and I'm like, what? I don't want a halfway full like container. Like fill it up.
right.
It doesn't have to be a full 8 ounces, but give me 7.5, 7.6, something. Like I want my
Yeah,
customer to feel that and feel the weight in it and feel like, oh, okay, I got to get my dish is served.
yep. And
My
that's
dish is
that
full.
exactly. And that's on you as the operator, right? To be like, hey, because nobody has the same vision that you do for your concept. So you have to really coach and teach people, and you can't be afraid to speak up and be like, "Hey, no, that's not right." You know, we
Mm-hmm.
needed to be doing this. We needed to be doing that, right? Same thing with for us. I know it might not be a big thing in California. We'll try to stop sharing this real quick. Uh, it might not be a big thing in California, but here in Texas, people expect pickles, onions, jalapenos, barbecue sauce, bread, all that, all those extras that you don't charge for. They're expecting that in their to go bag when they order meat. So, you know, you're charging $30 for a pound of brisket, and you just give them a box full of for a pound of brisket, and that's all they walk away with. Yes, they got their money's worth, but you got to give them the full experience with the bread, the pickles and onions, barbecue sauce, all the fixings, all that good stuff. And please, for the love of God, include plasticware. I can't stand when I go somewhere and I get a to-go order and they don't put no plasticware in there. That just drives me crazy.
Crazy.
Drives me crazy,
Yeah,
man.
I can deal
And I,
without a napkin or something, but yeah, if you're serving me something that I need a fork or a spoon, like please, there's nothing worse of trying to sip out some beans from out of a plastic cup, or you're using like your bread and scooping it or something.
you know,
It's horrible.
I feel like restaurants started doing that over COVID because you could only order to go from these places, right? And so they were like, "Oh, they're just going to take it home. They don't need plasticware. They're trying to save money," and it's not good. Nobody wants that. You want to go ahead and read that real quick? I'm gonna step off cam for a minute, but I'm gonna still be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, okay. So this is from Barbecue, BBQ, and Southern Soul Treats. Hello, thank you for joining the channel tonight. So excited you're here. So you have a comment that says, here in SC, South Carolina, I am selling my ribs by the bone, 3, 6, and 12. So 3 bones, 6 bones, and 12 bones. 3 bones is usually a sandwich for $10. 6 bones is a half rack, which sounds about right. Yep, 6 to 7, and that's $16, and $30 for 12 bones, aka a full slab of ribs. Okay, so you're not doing it by the pound. You're doing it by the bone. Okay, great, great, great. So one question I have for you as I'm reading this, it says 3 bones is usually for a sandwich. So when you say the bones for a sandwich, are you kind of like deboning that meat and then taking that and making some kind of rib sandwich for $10? Just
I
explain a little bit on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna interject there for a moment. So
Awesome.
I had never heard of this until I opened this restaurant. But in certain communities, they like rib sandwiches. Like I have people ask me I'm like, they're like, "Do you have a rib sandwich?" And I'm like, "What's a rib sandwich?" I'm like, you want the bone in your sandwich? Like, what's a rib
Right.
sandwich?
Yeah. Like,
But it's a
yeah.
thing. It's a thing. So um, I don't know if they just want the bread or you know what I'm saying. But I've had it both ways where sometimes they'll ask me to debone it, and I'll just they're tender enough. You just take them right off the bone, put them in the bun, and sell it. But other times, like, oh no, just leave the bone, and just give it to me, and they just do it themselves. I guess I
That's
don't
a
know.
true that's a true McRib, huh?
It's something. It's something for sure. Um, TJ said 3 dino beef ribs per slab, so a total of 6 ribs. Okay. All right, yeah, I'm selling them bad boys for at least $25 a dino rib. Come on,
Okay,
I make that
okay, so
money.
Murray, that's how the ribs are sold. Do you only get 6 ribs for a
Well,
dino
no,
ribs only come
he's saying because remember he said he bought 2 slabs over Easter, and he said the slabs come with 3 ribs on a slab, but they're those
mm,
giant dino ribs. So he bought 6. So basically, he got 6 dino ribs for $90.
mm,
So if you do the math on that,
yep.
you're looking at $15 a rib. So there you go. Boom. My pricing's right there. If your cost is $15 a dino rib, then you need to be charging 28 to $30. to
Mm-hmm.
make a decent profit on that. Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
that math's right on. Thank you, TJ. That helps us a lot, bro. That helps us a lot. William Brock says, "What's up, guys? I enjoy the content. Thank you, thank you. I'm happy you enjoy the content. Your average logical thinker. I tell y'all what I feel bad when I look back on when I used to ask my friends and family starting businesses for the hookup. I know better now. Look, the homies ain't going. They not gonna stick around when you had a business because they wasn't willing to pay what they needed to pay. So you got to charge what you're worth, 100%. Don't be asking me for the hookup. You ain't getting the hookup. No, I got you. Your average logical thing. You come out to Texas, we got you. We'll take care of you for sure.
Yeah.
William said, uh, plate ribs or dino ribs here in Dallas are sold by the pound and range from $34 to $30 a pound. Boom. There you go. Because usually, if I'm not mistaken, those big dino ribs are about a pound of meat,
Oh, okay.
if not more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking in my head, like looking at it, it's usually at least about a pound, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken. So I actually, guys, I'm gonna before we read some more comments, I had some people who were interested in hopping on the live. I got some messages on Instagram about that. So I'm actually going to drop the link here in the live chat that'll allow you to come up on stage and chat with
Oh,
us.
let's go.
But
Make it a theory.
I promise, if you're on some BS, I'm gonna kick you right out. So come on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, come on the live. Let's chat. You can chop it up. That's the link right there to join.
Well,
TJ, one rib. Go ahead.
no. I was just gonna. I appreciate you letting me come on your live, and just be here to support you and learn at the same time. So I just wanted to say thanks to you, man.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. TJ said one rib ended up shrinking down to almost nothing. Oh, that sucks.
Hmm?
The square turned into a triangle after the cook. Uh oh.
Oh
You might
no,
have been
how's that
cooking them a little
happen?
too hot. Might have been cooking them a
Yeah,
little too hot,
just
or it
shrunk
just was
up.
not a, or it just wasn't a good product to begin with. One of the two. One of the two.
Are are the
Say,
dino
go ahead.
ribs? Know your worth. Know your worth. Yes, yes, yes. T. How do you pronounce that? Tijano.
Tejano.
Tiano.
I'm sorry, Tejano. He's from California. He don't know better. Tejano.
Yeah, you definitely got to know your worth. You got if you don't learn that, you got a problem on your hands.
Your average logical thinker. I'm just trying to come up in the world, girl. I got me some champagne here that was a gift for closing on our house this week. I'm just trying to come up in the world. I'm trying to be like you. You know, your average logical thinker, she's rich. You know that? She rich.
Because she's thinking very logically.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, yes,
She also said, I
yes.
got a sneaky suspicion these rib sandwich requesters are black folk. Hey, you said it, not me.
Hey,
You said it,
let me
not
say
me.
something about let me say something else about my folks. Like I can have my menu down to a T.
Our
Like
folks. Our folks. I'm gonna have
our
clap. Come on.
folks, right? Our folks. I got a 3 rib meal, I got a 3-way meal, and things are very specific, right? I'm just trying to cover all bases. And then
Uh-huh.
before you know it, my folks gonna come up and want to just change it up. Well, can I get this without this? And can I add on this without that?
Oh yeah.
Just like confusing me, man. And I'm like,
Yep.
how do you have that same issue sometimes? People just kind of wanting to change things up.
Sometimes so especially on our Trinity plates where we're serving the brisket, ribs, and sausage. Sometimes people aren't they're not sausage fans. They're just not
Okay.
sausage fans. And so they'll ask, hey, can I get a little bit of extra brisket or a little or an extra rib? And a lot of places, specifically on their menu, will put no substitutions,
Mm-hmm.
which I understand why they do that. It's just not my philosophy to do that. My philosophy is to make the customer happy. And if it's going to make the customer feel like they got their money's worth and that they're happy by getting rid of the sausage link and putting the extra rib on there, that's what I'm going to do. And that's just the way I roll. Now, there's obviously you can get some requests that are a little crazy, right? And you might have to shut something like that down. But when it comes to something as simple as that, yeah, man, you don't like sausage, but you're going to spend this $48 with me. I'm going to give you a little bit of extra brisket in replace of that sausage. Is the brisket more
Mm-hmm.
expensive than sausage? Yes, but they're spending $50 with you. Make them happy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's how I think of it. TJ said it was the cut of meat. I knew it. That's what I thought. That's what
Oh,
I thought.
yes, that's a question that came up. Yep.
So cool. Let's go, guys. Come up. That's right. Come up on the stage. I put the link out there. Who's going to come up? A couple of y'all requested to come on the live. You have the opportunity to. I put it in the chat. Um, is it still in the chat? Can you see it on YouTube? Yeah, yeah, it's there. I see it. Yeah, the link's right there. That'll bring you right up into StreamYard, and it'll
I'm gonna
allow
grab a
us
jacket. I'm gonna grab a
allow
jacket.
you to bring you on. Yeah, you're good. Let's see. TJ said the ribs came out great. Otherwise, good. Yeah, I'd like to do some dino beef ribs. I have not cooked those before, so that'll be fun. Your average logical thinker. My ex-husband was a Mexican from McAllen, Texas. I remember asking his brother, "Where's the barbecue sauce on the meat?" He said, "We don't eat barbecue like that." It was good though. Yeah, so in Texas, typically we have barbecue sauce available, but the meat should be cooked well enough to where you don't need the sauce. It's a big thing here to where, you're not judged. Your meat is not going to be judged with the barbecue sauce. It's going to be judged without the sauce. So it better be good. It better be good. You should have sauce as a condiment, but you shouldn't need the sauce on the meat for it to be good. Hope's Barbecue said, "Your average logical thinker. I am Mexican from Mission, Texas. They put barbecue and hot sauce on everything." Yeah, I mean, on the side as a condiment, but I don't put it on the meats because I feel like that's covering up the work that I just did for 12 hours.
Yeah, I got a customer yesterday who said, "Yeah, I don't want any sauce, no cheese, no sauce, just meat and bread." That's when you
Yeah.
know you got to cut off the right slices.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You better. You better. Your average logical thinker said Hope's Barbecue. Where's Mission? What part of Texas? Mission is right next to McAllen. If you're talking about South Texas, that's right. That's by the border. That is by the border. They got some nice houses over there. You can pretty much get like a mansion for like 350, 400 grand in
Mm.
McAllen. But you better have some guns. You better have some gates. You better have some security because you're close, man. You're close to the border. You are close to the border, and then a Biden admin, you gonna have people. They're literally. I'm not even trying to be super political here, but literally, over the last 4 years, people who lived in those areas of Texas, they would literally have illegal migrants walking onto their property, and you don't know who these people are. You don't know if they're nice people. You don't know if they're cartel. You have no idea. And there was a lot of different cases where homeowners got in a situation where they had to decide, like, yo, do I shoot this dude on my property? I have no idea who this guy is. He clearly is coming across the border, all kinds of craziness. And so yeah, that's a problem out there. But you can get a nice house, I'll tell you that. You get you a nice house. Your average logical thinker said, "Sounds like you just got to have good judgment when accommodating your customers, know when to oblige and when not to." 100%. Thank you so much for the
100%.
super chat.
Oh, great
Thank you
job.
so
Thank you.
much. Hope's Barbecue. Yes, South Texas. Maybe his people was different. Yep. Yep. Cool. Well, we got a couple more topics. Always, as always, you can put your comments in the live chat. If you like, we'll definitely answer those questions. I'm gonna put the link to join the stream in the comments as well. That way, if y'all want to come up and chat, ask us some questions live on air, talk about your business, your brand, your barbecue, we're totally fine with that. We got a lot of people with barbecue concepts and restaurants and food trucks and pop-ups in the stream here. So if you want to kind of talk about what you got going on, we love to hear that. We got no issues there. We got no issues there. Something I wanted to talk about is something you brought up earlier today when we were texting back and forth about leaving money on the table. So let's start, Greg, if you want to start there and kind of talk about why we were talking about that and go from there, man.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier, and I believe you were telling me, "Hey, yeah, I sold out in a couple of hours, and I was thinking, oh, wow, are you leaving money on the table because you could have been, still going today. 3 hours is not a lot of long time to be, have your doors open. So I figured, did you not prepare enough? Did you not know how much, and you don't know how many customers are going to come through your door. Um, but you're probably playing it safe because you really don't want to be holding on to stuff. You definitely don't want to hold on to anything, right? The goal is to sell it all. Um, so yeah, I was just concerned that you may be leaving money on the table if you're selling out in 4 hours. Now, I didn't follow up and ask, hey, were there still
3 hours.
people?
I sold out in 3 hours today. Put some respect on my name.
So did you didn't have nobody coming up, afterwards saying this hat is kind of getting big here. Uh, hey, you have anything left? Are you still open? Did you have to turn anyone away?
I missed out on probably $500 today because I
Oof.
sold out. Yeah, yeah, because I sold out in 3 hours today. But there's some nuance to the conversation, okay?
Okay.
Because we're still relatively new. We only opened in January, okay? And so you can only go based on a couple things when you're trying to predict sales. Number one, you go on your previous sales. What did you do the week before? Okay. The other thing you got to go on is how much are you willing to lose? How much? Because you got to think with barbecue, you're buying that meat, you're cooking that meat, and then you're selling it. It's different than if you run a hamburger joint. If you have a hamburger joint, those beef patties will last what 7-10 days, right? And you only put that beef patty onto the grill when somebody
When
orders.
it's
So
ordered.
technically, you get the money first, and then you cook it, right?
Oh, yeah,
See,
true. Didn't think
and
of that. Yes.
so with barbecue, you got to know whatever proteins you buy for that week, you either use it or lose it. You either sell it or eat the cost.
Mm.
And so you go based on your sales for the previous week. You go by how much you're willing to lose, almost like you're gambling, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
go by are there holidays going on? Is there different events in your area at the moment that are going to
Mm-hmm.
take away
Mm-hmm.
from your sales or add to your sales? Maybe there's a big sporting event in your town, and you know that you're going to get a lot of traffic from out of towners coming in. They're going to look you up on Google, want some barbecue because they're in Texas. We get that a lot. We get a lot of people from out of town who are in for different events or things they have going on, and they're in Texas. What do people want when they visit Texas and they're not from Texas? They want
Barbecue.
barbecue. They're like, I want to know what this Texas barbecue thing's all about, right? And so you got to kind of keep track of what's the weather looking like, what holidays are going on, what events are in my area this weekend. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to consider as far as how much food you make, because an extra case of brisket could potentially be the difference between you profiting that weekend or losing your ass that weekend. Right? Brisket's expensive. So, um, to kind of answer your question, we had a last minute post from the county that posted us on Friday. I didn't know that post was going out. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't send in anything. They took pictures off of my social media. It was completely a surprise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I
I
saw
seen
that, I
that.
was like, oh shit, we're going to be super busy Saturday and Sunday. And we were. But at the same time, selling out is a good thing. That's never a bad thing.
That's never a bad
Bec-
thing.
It's never a bad thing. We sold out, which means we made money. And the people that missed out know they got to come early next week. Right? And at the
So
same time,
that's
too,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
now we know, okay, each week you got to use as a benchmark. So we know what we did this weekend. If we think based on everything going on next weekend, we can do the same thing or better, then we can scale up how much food we make. And it's just a gradual thing. You don't want to say, oh man, I did $2,500 this weekend. Let me go. I think I'm going to do 5 grand next weekend. You're probably not. It's possible, but that's a big jump. So gradually increase. Maybe next weekend we make enough to sell $3,000 worth of food, right? And then the next weekend, maybe if we sell out real quick, then maybe we bump it up, and it's a process.
So will you be bumping it up next weekend for next weekend, or will you kind of, what is your game plan moving forward?
Well, it's only been 7 hours since we sold out today, so I'm still processing everything, and we'll have to go to the drawing board tomorrow and figure out how much food we're going to order, right?
Hmm.
And that's another thing, right? Is not everybody has the money to go buy more food, right? Are you buying it cash? Are you putting it on a company credit card? Are you putting it on your personal credit card? Has your payment processor paid you for that great sales weekend?
Right.
Right? Because my
Right.
payment processor, I'm a week behind. I get paid
Mm.
on every Friday. So if I go out and I sell Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the money that I made doesn't get paid out until the following Friday.
Next Friday.
And I got to buy food before that following. So I got to have reserves to pay for
You
that
do.
food for the next weekend. Right. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of factors. It's a lot of factors. Hope's Barbecue
Mm.
said concerning the sellout, were you at max capacity, Kirby, or you only filling up the proteins at half your capacity? I could make more. I could make more. Um, not Let me think about this. I'm close to max capacity, but if I really pushed it, I could probably make a little bit more. Honestly, if honestly at this point, if I wanted to make more food, I could probably go buy another Old Country Pecos to be able to make some more food. But I'm trying before I spend another $500 to get that smoker. I'm really trying to work with what I have and wait until that big 250 comes in. That's the plan. And I should only have about 30 days. If you guys didn't watch the live stream from was it last week? Yeah. Well, it's been maybe
Yeah.
10 days with Paul from Peoria Barbecue Co. He's
Yep.
making the
Hmm.
smoker. He said it might be ready for grand opening, which is May 30th. So, I got about a month. I'm going to try to make do with what I have, and we'll see. We'll see. I did have somebody offer to lend me a smoker, uh, but
For the
I
grand
and I
opening.
accepted. No, no, now they offered to let me
Oh.
lend it to me now, and I said yes. But then a couple days later, it turned into, yeah, that way, you can smoke a brisket for me so I can sell it to my customers on my burgers because they do a burger joint. And I was like, bro, you're not going to sell I don't care if it's on your burgers. You're not selling my brisket because I thought he was just lending it to me out of the kindness of his heart. But then a couple days later, he came with strings. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh,
Well,
that
you
way I
can't.
could give you nah, I'm not doing that.
That was the trade. I give you the smoker and you give me briskets.
Well, see, he could have said that straight up, but he didn't because he knew I would have said no. The thing was, he's like, "Yeah, you can use my smoker. I'll bring it up here for you." I'm like, "Cool, bet on it. Cool, you're being a good neighbor. That's fantastic." He's like, "I'm not using it." But then 2 days later, he's like, "Yeah, we'll do a smoked brisket burger, so we can throw a brisket on there for me." And then I'm like, "Bro, so you trying to capitalize on my product? No, we're
Is
not
there a
doing that."
return of investment if you did have his grill? Like you're saying, I'm saying like if you had it, you're saying, oh, okay, even though I gotta put a brisket on for you that you're gonna buy and pay for, right? Are you
It's
gonna
the
see more value
It's
in
the
production?
principle of the matter. It's the principle of the matter, Greg. It's like this. It's like this, Greg. Think about it like this. Let's say you were my next door neighbor and you had a burger restaurant.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
you got a burger restaurant, and you see that your boy, a young, good-looking, nice shaven man, is over here selling a bunch of brisket, and you selling a couple burgers a day, right?
Hmm.
And you want to up your stuff. And you want to use my award-winning brisket to do that. Nah, I feel like you're just trying to capitalize off of my product. It's like this is another thing. I had a guy this weekend, and this is what pissed me off. He didn't even buy no food. He pulled up in his car, didn't even get out the car, hands me two business cards. He has a barbecue catering company, and he also supplies smoked proteins to barbecue restaurants and catering businesses. He wanted to sell me his smoked meats at wholesale price for me to sell them to my customer. I'm like, you must not know who I am. You think I'm gonna sell your shit at my restaurant? You tripping? You tripping? I'm like, nah. Would it be a lot easier for him to vacuum seal some smoked sausages for me and to serve them? Absolutely. But I like making all my stuff homemade from scratch. I want my customers to try my food, not some other guy's food. It's like the customer asks, "Oh, do you smoke this brisket here in house?" No, we just ordered from some guy. Nah, bro, we not doing that, bro. Nah, disrespectful,
Yo, so look at
disrespectful.
this. Look at this play though. So you can do the deal, and then when your 250 arrives, and you no longer need his grill or smoker, but he's still going to need brisket on his sandwiches.
Yeah, nah, this dude, he's not a bad dude, but I think he's a little manipulative, and I'm just not playing that
Mm-hmm.
game.
Just
I'm
not
not
you're not
gonna
even
play
signing
that
up
game.
for it. You're
No,
not even signing up for it.
no, no, no. Sometimes, Greg, you gotta just at that point, if I need another smoker, I'll just go buy another $500 smoker. I ain't playing
Right.
that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, because there's the thing: they do that stuff so they can own you. Because think about it like this: I let you borrow my smoker. I let you borrow my. Oh yeah, yeah. You need another smoker? Borrow my smoker, no problem. How much you want for? Oh no, you don't have to give me nothing. You just borrow. And then I come back to you, Greg, and I'm like, hey, Greg, I'm thinking about selling barbecue next weekend, but you got my smoker, man. Will you just smoke it all for me? Since you're using my smoker, you need to smoke this for me. Nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yep.
Not
I
gonna
agree.
happen.
I agree.
Your average logical thinker says, how soon did you sell out? I sold out at 1 p.m. So I opened at
Three
11. I
hours.
sold out at 1 p.m. today. So 3 hours,
Three
and we
hours.
was done. Uncle T's barbecue. I'd rather sell out than try to cook more and end up having leftovers. I did one event. They told me 1,000 people would come. I cooked enough for 600, only like 300 came.
Oh
That's what happens,
no.
Greg. But didn't I tell you when we were doing numbers and stuff? I was like, bro, number one, cut whatever they told you in half. Cut, which it looks like he did. But I'm like, cut that in half and then expect to only sell a quarter and then decide how much you want to actually make.
Oh wow, you weren't
Because
lying.
that's what happens. Yeah, bro, it happens all the time. Because people,
S-
especially these event organizers, they they like to think they're better at marketing than they actually are, and they think they're going to get all these people to show up, and then guess what? It rains that morning, or there's
Mm,
another event in town, or they just didn't do as much marketing as they said they were going to do, and it becomes a problem for caterers like Uncle T's Barbecue. So I'd be pissed.
a
I'd be pissed,
thousand
man.
people and only 300 people showed up.
I'd be upset, man. Your average, that's all of his profit right there. If he made it up for 600
Yeah,
people and he only sold 300,
that's his profit. He just cooked for free.
this is profit. He cooked for free. Your average logical thinker, can you guys resell leftovers or no? Is that bad? Um, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. People are paying for a premium product. You want to make sure they get that. Now, there's some stuff you can save, like we talk about all the time. If you have leftover brisket, chop it up, throw it in the freezer. Maybe next week you could throw it in like a chili you're selling or beans that you're selling. Some people do brisket elote. You know, Brisket's one of those things. If you chop it up, you freeze it, you can certainly reheat it and use it for side items and things like that. But I wouldn't give it to someone as a chopped beef sandwich. I wouldn't do that. I would not do that.
Or sliced by the pound for sure. Definitely wouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure would not do that. You're gonna be able to tell. You'll be able to tell the difference. Hope's barbecue, your average logical figure, it doesn't come out the same. There you go. Yep, he said it. I've seen pitmasters put it into chopped rice, beans the next day though. Yep, exactly. Exactly. You can put it into other stuff, but
Hmm.
certainly would not do that. He was too good to get out the car curb. Yeah. He thought his stuff. I ain't even gonna say the name of the company. I ain't gonna give him no clout. But this dude gave me not one, two business cards. Bro, I'm not buying your smoked meats, bro. You see I'm doing my restaurant thing. What do you think this is? Just disrespectful, Greg. Disrespectful.
Yeah, I had a guy pull up. I had a guy pull up in the Bentley yesterday. In the Bentley, And
Uh-huh.
I said, "Oh," I hopped out the trailer. I said, "It's a sample. The sample sells every time." But he was
Yeah.
asking if I got tri-tip. I said, "No, I don't have tri-tip. I got brisket. I got the king. I got the king of barbecue."
Yeah, yeah.
And so he was like, "Nah, I don't do no tri-tip." So I gave him a sample. He liked it, but he said, "Nah." So he took off. But yeah, I got some people
My
saying in
man
the
was
car, but
looking for my man was looking for steakhouse quality tri-tip at a friggin' barbecue pop-up place. He's tripping.
yeah, yeah. But I'm loving. I got a couple guys coming up giving me cars. I got an ice guy that came up to me. Wants to be
Yeah.
my ice guy, and then yeah, somebody else wanted to fabricate some stuff. But yeah, no, just keep it simple. Buy the food and let's keep it moving. I already got my processes, my procedures. Everything's working just fine.
The problem is that the more you grow, you'll have everybody and their mama trying to sell. It's crazy because your business becomes a customer for other people's business.
Mm.
Like when you open a restaurant,
Hmm.
you need ice. So you got the ice guy that comes up. You got the smoked meats guy that comes up, right? You got people who are like, I know you've got linen, right? You got aprons, towels, things like that. You don't
Oh,
want
you
to be
become a
throwing on.
customer.
See, I'm in a. So get this. So we were renting before we bought this house last week.
Hmm.
So we were also renting the washer and dryer at that old place. And so I would take my dirty freaking kitchen towels and aprons and stuff and wash it there, right? Now we're in a new house, brand new appliances that came with the house. My wife's like, "You're not washing that shit here."
Thank you.
So either I got to take that shit to the washateria or I got to hire one of these linen companies.
We lost your audio. We lost your audio. He'll be right back with us, you
How
guys.
about now? How about now? We
Yep,
good?
yep, yep.
Yeah. So
You're
now
back.
I got to hire a linen company, right? To supply the towels and aprons and stuff, and then they pick it up every week and they wash them and they
Mm-hmm.
give you a new batch, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your business becomes a customer for someone else's business.
Wow, didn't think of that. That's so true.
So, but that they'll come at you like sharks, trying to supply you with everything that they think you need, and you got to be able to decipher between, hey, is this something I actually need, and is this the price that I need it at, or can I pass on this? This guy's just trying to make money because he sees I'm making money.
Yep, yep,
So
yep.
you'll
That's
get
so
more of
true.
it.
Okay, okay. We got anything in the comments?
Yeah, Uncle T's Barbecue said, yep, basically worked for free, but my butts. If you keep them whole, keep the pork butts. Yep. If you keep them whole, keep wrapped in foil, then wrap super tight plastic wrap, throw it in the freezer. When you're ready to cook, thaw or throw on the smoker until
Mm-hmm.
tip. Yeah. Yeah, pork
Mm-hmm.
butts are great. You could definitely freeze a whole pork butt for sure. For sure. Uncle T's Barbecue, can't tell any difference. Same with brisket, just add tallow. I don't do it with ribs or chicken, but I only had butts left over from that event. Well, that's good. That's at least you didn't waste a bunch of ribs and stuff like that, man.
Hey, Sean, I'm glad that he said that because I was just, we were just discussing that this morning, right? Because I did,
Yeah,
I did nine briskets, and I have 1.25 brisket left, and I was saying, hey, let me go ahead and get on YouTube and join Kirby's Barbecue mentorship program because when you join the mentorship program, you can call and say, "Hey, man, I made 9 briskets and I got a brisket left over. What do I do?" And Sean's gonna say, "Hey, this is what you do," or he's gonna help you along the way, and that's exactly what he did today. So I really just want to just take this moment to stop this conversation and say, if you're thinking about joining the channel and becoming a member, I mean, there's benefits. I mean, you're gonna get to day 5 and say, "Oh, well, how do I make this sauce?" or "How do I make this brisket?" He's gonna help you. It's well worth it. So just
for
wanted to
sure.
throw that shot out real quick.
I appreciate the plug. I appreciate the plug. And guys, just so you know, the channel membership at the Barbecue Business Coaching level, it's $50 a month. You get one-on-one support from myself. You'll get my phone number. We'll be able to talk, text all the time. Any questions you have on building your business, from the food to the systems and processes to hot holding to um, the softwares that I use, payment processing, all that stuff, catering events, permits, licensing, all that stuff. I answer all those questions. After the grand opening, which is May 30th, the price will go up to $100 a month for new people coming in. So if you've been thinking about taking advantage of that membership at that level, I would suggest you do that soon before the price goes up. And then you can find that if you go to the main page of the channel. Should be a button somewhere, at least on desktop, that says join, and you'll be able to join the channel. Your average logical thinker says, forget him and his Bentley. Rich.
Yeah, I thought this man was gonna get out and actually support, man. He had on gold chains and rings and everything. I was ready to, man. I was ready to serve that guy. And he just drove on off. But
That's
yeah, like you said, just forget that.
that's terrible. Barbecue and Southern Soul Treats. Sorry, I'm driving and watching live, so I'm messaging when I can. The 3-bone sandwich, the bones are pulled out. I cut my slabs into 3 bones and score the meat before I smoke them. Okay.
He the
So he's
bones are
cutting them
pulled out.
into
I
3
cut the
bones.
slabs into 3 bones before he
Yeah.
even smokes them, and
Yeah.
he scores them, so he just comes across them. So they
Yeah.
probably come off the bone just a little bit easier once he goes to pull it off.
That's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. Okay.
Yeah, barbecue and soul treats. If you can let us know if you're open to it, like what are you charging for that sandwich?
Yeah, I think he put it in there a while ago.
Oh,
Back in
okay. Oh, you
right.
know what he did? He actually did. He said 3 bones were $10 for the rib sandwich. That's right.
Yep. Yep. Your average logical thinker. Okay, come on, promo. You know, we gotta promote. We gotta promote. You got a good product, you gotta promote. Tailgate 360 LLC says, how's it going, guys? Stopping by from Waco, Texas. Welcome. Go Baylor Bears, right? Over there in Waco, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I got to stretch, guys. I'm a Longhorn fan, though, so hook 'em horns. Uh, Guys, once again, we got 20 people in here live. If anyone wants to join the stream and come chat with us, come up on stage, come up on camera, talk about your barbecue business, what you have going on, ask us questions, just BS with us here on the live, you're welcome to do so. The link I just put in the live chat, you just click that link. It'll bring you into a back room stage that I can see you, and then I can bring you right on the screen and we can chop it up. It'd be a good opportunity for you to be able to promote your business, whether you're in Waco, Texas, you're in Shreveport, Louisiana, you're in Sacramento, California, wherever you're coming in from. We want to help you guys. We're not here to just make a bunch of money. We really do want to help you guys with your business. So even in the fact of promoting your business, come on here and promote your business. We talked about this last week or a little bit of over a week ago about getting yourself out there and promoting yourself. You would be surprised how many people go back and watch these live streams. I mean, you guys can go back and see the views, but a lot of people don't even comment, but they're watching the video. That could be a future business partner. That could be a future investor. That could be a future customer of yours. So hop on the live and promote your damn business, man. I'm giving y'all the platform. I'm building the platform. I'm giving it to you. I'm saying, come on here, speak to my audience. Some of our lives get 800, 900 views, on the playback. So come on.
I'm looking for your average logical thinker. Come on, get online and so we can see you and talk to you.
Yeah, your average logical thinker, come up here. Teach us how you got so rich. She knows I like giving her a hard time.
I know.
I'm always commenting stupid shit whenever she posts on stuff.
I know. I noticed that.
Ralph said, Dino ribs I sell by the bone at $30. See, that's what I said. 28 to 30 bucks a dino rib. Spare ribs, half a rack at 18, full rack at 30. Okay. See, and that's my thing. A lot of people price their racks just like that. 18 bucks for half a rack, 30 bucks for a full rack. That's a great price for your customer. That even leaves some money for you to make some profit. I love it. But when I can sell them by the pound at $30, it just doesn't make sense for me to sell a whole rack for $30. A whole rack, if I'm selling by the pound, usually a pound is 4 ribs, and
Say
you
four,
got,
say three. Yeah.
what we say, I'm gonna say there's at least 8 good ribs, solid ribs, like
Yes.
full ribs. Not
Yeah,
talking about the
9,
tip on the end. If you cut off you cut
10,
off one rib on
12,
either side,
13, 14.
at least the little skinny rib at the end.
I would say 10. I would challenge you to say like 10 solid ribs because like my ribs are like 14.
Well, I need your ribs because I get probably 8, maybe 10,
Wow.
sometimes 10. It just depends on. It
Yeah.
depends. Sometimes the quality of ribs just aren't good, and I'm trimming more than I would like to. But let's say, is it fair to say we get probably 2.5 pounds a rack after it's been cooked?
Oh, I can't speak on that because I haven't weighed them. I've never
But
weighed
but
them.
you said okay, but you said 10 ribs. So 4 ribs, based on my experience, 4 ribs is a pound.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 ribs would be 2 pounds, and if you got two
Mm-hmm.
more ribs, you're looking at a half.
Oh, that's
So
the whole rack. Right.
the
Oh,
whole rack is 2.5 pounds. So if
yes.
you're looking at it that way, if I'm selling them, which I am, for $30 a pound, then 30 times two, that's $60 plus another half
$60.
rack, that's $75. So you sell a full rack for $30, I'm making $75 a rack.
Right.
That's more than double.
That's more than double
So maybe
Ralph's
not cool for
$30
your
full rack.
customer, but it's definitely cool for your bottom line when it's selling by the
Mm-hmm.
pound. So because here's the thing, most people aren't going to buy a full rack. They might at that price, but my customers, they're not buying a full rack. They're buying by the pound. And so you're able to the amount of proteins that you make doesn't have to be as much, right? Because you're selling, you got 70, you're making $75 on a rack of ribs that you only paid $10 for.
So tell
And,
me, Sean, are you
and
weighing out those ribs after you cook and cut them and serve them on the platter? Are you putting them on the scale and weighing that
I have
protein?
a scale. I have a scale. I got a digital scale on my cutting board. I
Yep.
place it right in the top left hand corner of the cutting board, and I weigh out pretty much not every time, but certainly a couple times a day. I'm putting those meats on that scale, so I have an understanding of how much meat actually is half a pound, how much meat actually is a pound,
So
right?
you'll spot weigh throughout the day to keep your weight, like you said,
Consistent.
okay, oh, this is half a pound. I know this is half a pound. Oh, then a couple hours a
Yeah.
day. Okay, yep, I'm still doing good. I'm still doing good.
Yes, and you have to know how heavy of a hand do you have. Like, are you
Mhm.
slicing very thin slices of brisket, or when you slice a piece of brisket, is it a big old thick piece of brisket? Because if you're selling by the weight, right, that matters. I know I've got my slices of brisket are thick, boy. They're thick. Like you like so typically a half a pound of brisket for me is 2 big slices. A full pound is going to be 4 slices. So I know as I'm cutting, right? I know as I'm cutting, like if they get a Trinity for one, that's a quarter pound of brisket. I know how much brisket to throw on there. They're gonna get one slice, right? One fat slice. I know if they're getting a Trinity for two, that's gonna be 2 fat slices of brisket. And like we talked about earlier, usually it's more than the actual weight of what there is on the menu, what
Mhm.
they're paying for. Especially with how thick I cut the brisket.
But
And
yeah,
then
and I
ribs,
don't I don't like go ahead, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
no, you're and then I know for the product that I buy on the ribs and how they come out, I know that 2 ribs is usually half a pound, and 4 ribs is usually about a pound. So, and like we talked about, there's some kind of nuance there, right? Uh, as far as what you're serving.
Hmm. Um, yeah, my mind is going 1,000 miles an hour, and I literally instantly forgot what I was going to ask you.
Your average logical thinker said, Kirby, I do not see the join button. You should see the join button. I know for sure it's on desktop. Um,
This is join to come on to the conversation or to join the channel.
to join the oh, that's a good question. Your average logical thinker, is that the join the channel or join the live stream? Let us know. On the channel, it's either going to be under join or it's going to be under membership. One of the two. I'm not sure because I can only see my view of it. And on my view, it says membership, obviously, because it's my channel. On yours, like Greg, you're not even going to be able to know because you're already a member.
I'm already a member.
Um, but you should be able to find it. Let me see if I can drop a link, maybe.
Or I can go
I don't
to it
know.
on a different page that I'm not a member on.
Yeah, do that and let us know. We'll find that join button, figure out where it is. I know. I don't think you can join the channel on mobile though. You can only join the channel on desktop,
That's
if
true.
I'm not mistaken. So
And I remember what I was
also
going to say now.
an iPad is considered
Uh huh.
mobile as well, I believe. So you have to join the channel on desktop. To join the live stream, if you guys want to hop on the live and chat with us, uh, once again, I'll leave the link. I just posted it, so you'll see it here momentarily. Might be a slight delay, but you'll see the link. It's a StreamYard link. It'll allow you to come up on the live with Brisket Daddy Barbecue and myself and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Um, Tailgate 360 LLC says, I sell a whole slab, 45 to 55 a slab. Yeah, see, that's appropriate pricing, right? And you still make a good amount of money because here's the thing. If you sell it for less, if you sell it for less, then your customers eventually are going to learn that they can game the system,
Yes,
right?
exactly. Which is why I had to change my pricing because it was like if my sandwich is $13, but I'm charging brisket 30, 30 a pound or whatever my numbers were, it's like, hey, they'll find that cheat code and they'll use it all day instead of buying, a sandwich. They'll buy half a pound of brisket and that'll get them 20 sandwiches, right? So if you don't look
Yeah,
at what you're doing a sandwich for and how much meat you're putting on the sandwich to the half a pound and the pound pricing, it's going to really throw you off. So yeah, I'm $15 for a sandwich. I'm $20 for a half a pound and
yeah,
36 for a full pound, right? Giving them that
yeah,
incentive to get that full pound.
yep,
And then this past weekend, I think we ended up at $25 for a half rack of ribs, and the full rack would then have been 50, but we were doing that at 45. So
yeah.
25 for the half a rack, 45 for the full rack.
And that's a good strategy to kind of give the quality when you get a little bit more. Like we do that with our chocolate pecan pie. We sell a slice for $6, and there's four slices in a pie, but we'll sell you the whole pie. It should be $24, right? Four slices,
Mm-hmm.
that's six
Mm-hmm.
bucks. But we sell the whole pie at $18. So you basically get a slice for free if you buy the whole pie. So
Yep.
anybody who's thinking about buying, if they say, "Hey, I'm going to buy two slices of pie," that's $12. You might as well just buy the whole pie at 18. So you can kind of do some creative things pricing like that. Looks like we lost Brisket Daddy. He'll pop back in here. Yeah, there he goes. Um, yeah. So what I was saying is like we sell our slices $6 a slice, but you can buy a whole pie, which is four slices, for $18. So you get a slice for free.
Yeah.
So anybody thinking about buying more than one slice now has to think, shoot, I might as well get the whole pie.
Yeah.
All right. Social Reloader. I just went to a barbecue joint that is kind of famous here in South California and got some dino ribs, $38 a pound. One bone was 1 pound. See? But
Mm.
it like they didn't do any trimming to it. There was a lot of fat. Ooh, interesting.
Oh, so you're supposed to trim those, huh?
Um, I don't want to make any foolish comments because I haven't done beef ribs
That's
yet.
fair. I like that. When we don't know, we just don't know, and I respect that way more than anything else. And
Yeah,
that's why I joined the channel and became a member.
I won't BS you. I won't. I'll try not to BS you. I haven't done it, so I'm not sure how much you need to be trimming on a beef rib. But if there was a lot of fat, hopefully it was rendered fat. Hopefully it was that nice yellow, golden brown fat that just melts in your mouth, and hopefully it wasn't that white, nasty uh, uh, fat. TJ Murray, you can. I joined via my phone, not an iPhone. Okay, maybe you can on Android. I don't know. But from what I've been told, you can't. Maybe they updated it. Who knows?
Speaking of white fat, we always find myself watching YouTube videos, people cooking different, cooking up briskets and stuff. And this lady was on there. This guy actually was cutting a brisket, and everybody's pushing the juices out and stuff,
Yep.
and got all this white fat in there. And I was like, no, sir. No, 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 no white. You can tell. Like I don't think you get yellow fat when you smoke on the Traeger. I haven't seen yellow fat until I've learned how to cook a brisket the right way. Like when you
Yeah,
cut it, and you see how the juice is running out, but it's got white fat, white marbling in there.
yeah.
That ain't
See,
Texas style barbecue.
and that's my problem with people who cook briskets hot and fast, is when you cook it hot and fast, it doesn't have enough time. It doesn't have enough time and a high. It doesn't have enough time
Hmm.
to fully render that fat and really get that stuff melted and fully rendered and yellow or brown, however you want to say it, and really get what you're looking for. And so that's my issue with all these people on YouTube who are like, oh, yeah, I cook my briskets hot and fast. That's the only way I'll ever do it. I think you're just being lazy. Let's cook that thing the way it's supposed to be cooked, low and slow. Give it the love it's supposed to get, man.
And not too low. I've done that before also, right? I've cooked, I thought, oh, if I cook long and even, lower and longer,
Yeah.
but I wasn't cooking at enough temperature. You still have to cook at least, we said 225. We got to cook it at least 225. Nothing
That
lower.
that's you could start it at 225, but the magic number, and this isn't just me saying this, okay? Um, Aaron Franklin from Franklin Barbecue, the most famous barbecue restaurant on the planet, his favorite number, and he said it years and years ago in his book, which if you haven't read his book, bro, you gotta
Oh,
order
I didn't know
it.
we had one. I'll go look for that.
He's got I think two now, but you get the first one. It's called, I've got it somewhere in the house. It's called let's see. It is called, he's got two books out. The second one I wasn't really a huge fan of, but the first one's incredible. Uh, Franklin Barbecue, a meat smoking manifesto. That is the one you need to get. Franklin Barbecue, a meat smoking manifesto. And it's a really good read on a day where you're cooking brisket, you're just waiting, maybe drinking a beer, having an iced tea, smoking a cigar, you're just cooking this brisket, and you sit back on the patio and you read that book, man. It's a great read. You'll learn a lot of stuff. But he said the magic number is 275, and I have to agree. I have to agree. 275 is the perfect number for smoking any type of protein.
Okay.
Uh, it doesn't matter what it is. 275 is high enough to where you're going to render the fat and cook it in a reasonable amount of time, but it's low enough to where you're going to be able to cook it slower, like you're going to be able to cook it over time and get the smoke you need and everything like that. 275, that's the perfect temperature. Don't
Okay.
blame me if you have a temperature you like. Don't be like, oh, you're wrong, Sean. Nope. Aaron Franklin said it. So if you're going against him, that's like, when it comes to barbecue, that's like going against God or something in the real world, right? He's the king of brisket, so you got to take it up with him.
Okay,
Right,
yeah. $29. I just bought it. Franklin Barbecue, a meat smoking manifesto with
right.
signature.
Oh, there you go. You got it with the signature. There you go. Yeah, no, that book's incredible, incredible. TJ said the dino ribs are a very rich cut of meat. Yes, they are. You buy a bunch of those, you better be able to sell them. Let me tell you,
Hmm.
you better be able to
That
tell.
that and the oxtails, right?
Um, yeah, I think so. I've never done oxtails. That's
Yeah, because
another one.
oxtail's not necessarily like a barbecue joint situation. That's more of like a just soul food, right? That's not barbecue per se.
So it depends on where you're at in the country.
Okay.
Depends
Okay.
on where you're at in the country, and it depends on what culture you're coming from and what demographic you're serving to. It's very popular in the black community. Oxtails are very popular in the black community,
Hmm.
and there's a guy actually. His brand is less barbecue.
Oh
Dude,
yeah, I see less. I see
bro,
less.
I didn't know who this guy was until
Uh
2 years
huh.
ago,
Oh
and then
wow. Okay.
I had no idea who this guy was. I came across his videos and I started looking at his social media. I'm like, dude, this guy is popping. And I
Right.
don't know a lot about him, but from what I can gather, he pretty much built his barbecue business on social media.
Oh, okay.
He
Seems
blew
like it.
up. he blew up because I mean, he was, don't get me wrong, he was hustling, he was making money, he was lined up
Right.
doing pop-ups on street corners and stuff like that.
Yep.
But he started blowing up on, I think, TikTok and some other social media platforms. And now he ships his protein, so he cooks a shit ton of food every day. And what he doesn't sell, he vacuum seals, puts it in a box, dry ice, and he's got a website. People from all across the country order his specialty is oxtails, smoked
Mhm.
oxtails. That's
Mhm.
why I brought him up. And so he will ship out smoked oxtails, ribs, brisket, whatever you want. And he ships this stuff all across the country. So you see him on these videos with smokers full of proteins. And yeah, he's selling a lot of it in person, but a lot of that stuff is getting vacuum sealed, frozen, or stayed fresh, and it's getting shipped out all across the
Mm.
country. It's really a very interesting business model, and I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I mean, think about it. If you just wake up in the morning and you've got 20, 30 orders of people across the country, and I don't know his numbers, I'm just throwing stuff out there, right? You got 20, 30 orders, people ordering whole brisket, slabs of ribs, dozen oxtails, stuff like that. And
Mhm.
all you got to do is smoke it, vacuum seal it, ship it out. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
It's a big operation. It's a lot of work.
Mhm.
It's a lot of work. But yeah, I'd love to meet that dude. But apparently he lived in Texas. He's from Texas. There you go. Tailgate 360 said Les is from Houston also. Okay. See, I didn't know. I knew he was from
Hmm.
Texas. I didn't know he was from Houston. But
Mhm.
he moved to Utah. So he runs his whole operation out of Utah. His saying is Texas in every way. So he does all his stuff, he tries to keep it real, keep it Texas. But that's who we gotta have. That's who we gotta have on the line. Les.
That's a great thought. That's who you
We
definitely
got
should have. He's got a huge kitchen too. At least from the shots that I've been watching, he's got a huge kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, I'd love to be able to do, and obviously he's way bigger than us, right?
Yep.
But
Yep.
I'd love to do a collaboration. If anybody knows Les, you got the connect. I'd love to do a collaboration with Les, man. At least have a conversation with them. And
I'm gonna
yeah,
reach out to him this week and let him know to connect with you to get him on.
okay. Yeah, man.
Start the
He's big
collab.
time, bro. He's big time. Tailgate LLC said, "I love 225 to 255, low and slow. No worries with great smoked rib." Okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's more way. There's more than one way to skin a cow.
There you go, or brisket. But yeah, I like to start my briskets low at 225, and I'll cook them at 225 for 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. But after that, it's getting bumped up to 250 and then 275 for the long haul, and it's going. Man, I got all these frogs around here. It's
I
crazy.
can't hear it. I can't hear anything. Let me ask you a question on that 275.
Yeah,
How many logs, splits are you burning through? Maybe this can be a whole nother show conversation, but fire management, I mean, I went through a lot of wood the last 2 weeks, and I don't have enough wood to even start up another cook. So am I going through too much wood? I mean, how do guys know how to maximize their wood cost?
yeah. We could definitely talk about fire management. We can certainly talk about fire management, but to give you an idea, right? I'm serving Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that means I'm burning wood Thursday through Sunday. So four
Hmm.
days a week. I go through a quart. No, I'm sorry. I go through half a quart of wood. Okay, half a quart of wood a month. So half a quart of wood lasts me a month, and I'm cooking. What is that? 16 days a month. So half the month I'm burning wood, and I go through half a quart a month, which costs me 240. So I'm paying $240, and that gets me enough stove for a whole month. So kind of do some calculations. I don't know how much you're paying for wood, but 240 a month in wood is all I'm spending. So if you're
Okay.
spending more than that, either A, you're paying too much for your wood, especially because I'm cooking way more days than you are at this point. So if you're spending more than that or the same amount a month in wood, you're paying too much for your wood or you're burning way too much. And if you're
So,
burning way too much wood, either you're not managing your fire well or your smoker is just burning the wood very inefficiently.
Okay.
And or also, how are you starting your fires? Like some guys will just solely use wood and they might get like a propane torch and they're lighting it up that way. Maybe you put some newspaper, put some other stuff on the bottom, kind of as kindling to start and get that flame. Because it's really hard to just take a log of wood and just get that on fire by itself.
Yeah, that's not catching fire here.
Typically, I'm using matchlight charcoal to start the fire. So I'll put a bed of matchlight and then I'll put my splits on, and that's how I start my fire. And then from there, obviously, it's just wood splits after that. So I guess I could add the cost of the match lights. That shit's not cheap, but I would say all in, I'm probably, let's see, I would say
All of
$30 a week in match light, so 120. So probably total all in, I'm under $400 a month in wood and charcoal cost.
them. Yeah, I find myself using the lump charcoal to, keep the fire hot. I figured the lump charcoal was probably a little less expensive than the wood was.
I used lump charcoal this weekend actually, and I didn't hate it, but I had to use my torch. Like I've got the propane tank, the little backyard propane tank, and I've got the torch, and you have to use that with the lumps. Well, I guess you don't have to. You could do something else, but I find that's the fastest, most efficient way to start the fire. Unless you use matchlight. If you use matchlight, you either just light it with a match or a regular lighter. You light a little piece of paper, throw it on the matchlight, and it flames up, and then you're done. You don't have to fool around with anything else. So there's different ways to start a fire.
But
Um,
I noticed that my fire, I wasn't using that to necessarily start the fire. I was using that to keep my fire hot so I didn't have to burn as much wood. Because I did notice that when I put a nice sized log of lump charcoal in, my fire like got really hot.
yeah. Um,
So yeah,
I
and then how does a person know, if you're burning inefficiently? How do you know if you're actually burning inefficient? What are signs that tell
how,
us?
how much are you spending on wood a month
I've only bought one thing of wood and I went $200 for the month.
for the month?
For the
And
month,
how
yeah.
many days are you cooking?
I cooked 5 times. I
Okay,
cooked I cooked 5 times out of that maybe, yeah.
so you
I saw
spent
I still have a little bit left.
$200 on wood and you got 5 cooks out of it.
Mhm.
I spent 240 and I got 16 cooks.
Mm.
So
Okay.
then you got to go in and figure out, okay, that's something we can talk about kind of offline and figure out
Mhm.
what's going on there, right?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
probably,
Mhm.
it sounds like you're using too much wood to be able to
Yeah,
keep that fire going. How
I
many
think so.
hours? I mean, what is, maybe your smoker might not be running efficiently, you know? And here's another thing, right? You're using an Oklahoma Joe. That's very thin metal. Sorry, not a blood file. That's very thin metal, right? So it's not going to keep heat as well as if you had thicker metal in your smoker, right? So that's
I
another.
I've been using the vertical lately.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
usually the verticals are definitely have a higher grade of metal, thicker metal, but still, depending on what that metal is, you might not be keeping all of that heat in as well as you could if you had a better product. So, like when you come down here, you'll see the smokers that I use.
Mhm.
You'll see the new smoker and things like that. You'll be able to see the difference in quality and thickness of the metal. That
And
also
what am I coming down for?
the grand opening, May 30th through June 1st. Cody's Barbecue, Duquesne, Texas. William said Les is a cool dude, very nice guy. Tailgate 360 LLC. I can get you in touch with him. Okay,
Make it happen.
let's make
Make
that
it
happen.
happen.
See if he has time for a small fish like me
And a little baby fish.
and a little baby fish. 2B Barbecue said he's got a podcast channel. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check. I've seen some of his content, and it all looks like good stuff. I hope he's making a bunch of money, man, because the production of what he's putting on, man, it looks very expensive.
Hmm.
I hope he's making a lot of money, bro. I hope that man's winning. How old are your wood? How old is your wood? I think is what he's asking. I don't know exactly, but here in Texas,
Seasoned. Yeah.
they definitely season that wood very well. I mean, it's nice and dry. It's got obviously you want a little bit of moisture in it, but um, if it's too dry, that's a good question, right? Because if the wood's too dry, it's going to burn up like that. It's just like anything, right? If you got dry wood, like you're in California, you get it. Y'all got fires, right? It's super dry out there. Things catch on fire very quickly, and they just burn and burn and burn. So maybe that's the case. Maybe try a different wood supplier. Maybe the wood that you're getting is too dry, and maybe it's not even your supplier. Maybe it's just the climate that you're in, right? Because it's drier out there. Here in Houston, it's very humid. We got a lot of moisture in the air. We got a lot of moisture here, so my wood doesn't burn. It probably don't burn as fast as yours does, right? More moisture, the slower it's going to burn. The drier, the faster it's going to burn. That's a great point, to be barbecue. It's a fantastic point. TJ, how's the smoke shack coming? It's going well. Uh, we've started getting electricity set up in the smoke shack, so they're working on electric. Next is plumbing. Then they're going to finish putting the walls on, and we'll have a building, my friend. So it's coming along. It's coming along. Tailgate 360 LLC. I used to overload my firebox until I learned fire management, and the quality of the pit is everything, like you said. Learning your types of wood for higher tips. Yeah. Yep. Also, here's another point. If you're cooking at too low of temps, if you're cooking at too low of temps, then maybe you're using too much. It's kind of weird the way I'm trying to explain this, because you would think the more wood that you throw on the fire, the hotter it's going to be, right?
Yes. Yes.
But if you're cooking too low and you're adding all this wood to the fire, and it's extending your cook time. The longer you're cooking, in theory, right, the more wood you're going to use.
Yes.
Because if you're adding a log every 45 minutes and you're doing a 15-hour cook on your brisket, that's more wood than if I'm getting mine done in 9 hours. Does that make sense? Cook
Yes.
275 rather than 225.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, you can look at it both ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just a thought. Just
Yeah, man. I've been seeing that bark that pop up at that fourth or fifth hour. Like, really shocked at the results that I'm getting at that fourth and fifth hour on those briskets.
yeah. Also,
Yeah.
your smokestack, right? Uh,
Oh, yep.
is is your smokestack all the way open, and you're getting a lot of draw? It's drawing, or you have it partially closed, and you're trapping more smoke, and it's got less of a draw, which means your wood is probably getting less oxygen,
Mm.
right? And so it could be burning slower. Whereas if you have everything wide open, that fire's just freaking burning, right?
I think that's my problem. Yeah, I had a 2-inch pipe on my vertical that that customer sold me, and he put that on. It had like a 4-inch pipe off the other side,
Yeah.
so I know that I wasn't getting the draw. So I cut that off and put a nice big 4-inch pipe on the opposite side, but I had no stack closer, if that's what you want to call it. So I know, but that my fire has probably just been like just burning through wood because I haven't really been shutting it down. So, you know, do we want to shut down the air gaps and kind of close off the stack, the stack pipe for to kind of like you said, keep the heat and more smoke?
There's a balance. There's a
Okay.
balance, right? Because the more airflow, if you have the stack open, you're going to get more of a draw. Your fire is probably getting more oxygen, and so it's going to cook hotter, right?
Yes.
Whereas if you close it down, you could be killing your fire. So there's a happy medium, I think, and you have to adjust based on your smoker, right?
Okay.
And what you're doing and what you're cooking. So it's a little more nuanced than that. Sometimes especially at the beginning of the cook. If I want to get that fire, getting that fire going, I'm keeping that smokestack 100% open because I want that fire to get going. And then maybe as I get into maybe an hour or two into the cook, I might close it halfway to get
Gotcha.
more smoke, to get more color, more bark on that brisket. And then once I get that color and I've wrapped the briskets, I'm opening that smokestack all the way. I want to get good draw. I want to get as much heat as possible. I want to get that thing done. I'm ready to go home. I want to get this thing done. But your other question slash point, right, is do you have a lot of gaps in your smoker, like around the cook chamber? Because they make what's it called? Lava. Somebody help me. Lava lock. They make a lava lock where you can seal up the edges of your smoker so you're not getting any heat escaping your smoker, right? Especially with the cheaper smokers, you could be having heat and air escape from the cook chamber, right? And that could be causing you to use too much wood because you're losing, because you only add a log of wood, right? When you're getting low and the temperature is trying to drop,
Yep.
and the temperature is going to drop if you've got gaps in the cook chamber, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yep, and different woods cook at different temperatures. Red oak will increase temp. One log burns hot and long. Yeah. So, look at what kind of wood you're using. Okay, here we go. Looks like we got Eli from Hope Smoke Barbecue. What's going
Welcome,
What's up,
on,
fellas?
Eli?
Eli.
What's up, fellas? I was waiting to get home to see if you guys are still on, but how's it
Yeah,
going?
man, we're rocking. It's going well. How are you?
Good, man. How are you guys? Been watching your records, man. I'm never on here on time, so I just watch the records, and I learn a lot from what you're doing. I'm over here in San Antonio, so it's kind of like similar,
Yeah,
permit wise, stuff like that.
awesome, man. Has the content been helping you out? Kind of figure stuff out?
Yeah, man. I've been doing it for a little bit. Was kind of like slanging out of the house for a while, but I got a buddy with a commercial kitchen. He's got his restaurant now, so it really helps out. But no, I was listening to you guys on the way back, and I think a lot on the fire aspect of it too is like if you're running with the insulated box too. Like, so I have a custom 150, so
Okay.
I got an insulated box, so that thing holds the coals for a long time. So I gotta it sips on wood, so I really had to split it. Like these whole logs that I get, I gotta split it and kind of take out the coals because if not, the radiant heat will just keep it way too high.
Yeah.
So if I'm going for more of a smoky fire, just to add on to it. But yeah, it depends on the cooker that I've noticed from my experience. But yeah.
That's a good point. That's another thing, Greg, right? Is when you kind of get into the professional pits, right? As they call them, like you got a custom 150 built with an insulated firebox. So, like we were talking about the thickness of the metal, right? His
Yeah.
firebox is completely insulated. So there's not a lot of heat escaping, if any. Right?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have to use as much wood.
So
Right?
Eli, you said your coals keep your smoker hot. Are the coals sitting on the bottom of the smoker? Because my dad just recently came by and put a grate, a heavy
Hmm.
duty grate, as if you were grilling grate.
Yeah.
But I noticed that all my coals were dropping, through the grate and just turning to ashes, and I had no coal bed. I actually went out the next morning to go do my ribs, and it was completely cold.
All ash.
It was all ash.
Yeah. So I have a square firebox. I could show you pictures, but it's a square firebox. I don't know if that's what you're running with. It's insulated, and I actually have the same grate that I had from my Pecos. I took it out, put it in the firebox, and I mean, I guess it depends on how much you break those down. I can't break those down too much because then it'll all fall to the bottom. I had to put that in there because if it's sitting in the ash, it's gonna die out, or you're gonna get that dirty, you know what I mean, kind of treoed, kind of going in there. So I had to elevate it. I actually put bricks on the sides, so it's like a good in between from the circle,
Yep.
the round firebox, because you want to elevate it a little bit, and then you can kind of push the coals back before you break them down. Push them to the back, bring your ash out, clean it all out, bring your coals back, break them down, and depending where you're at in the cook, like if I'm going for a smoky fire, I'm breaking those down and I'm burying those logs like in the coal, so I limit the airflow. Like I'm trying to limit it because I'm trying to get a smoky fire. If I'm like doing ribs or if I'm doing brisket coming out of the stall, I'm kind of letting in a little bit more space in there. And then I'm breaking them down, but I'm leaving a little bit of airflow on the bottom so it can kind of like, it's not going to be super hot. Like you don't want your flames like coming out like too high. So I'll leave a little bit more and then I'll pile them on kind of like a log style. But yeah, I use a grate too. The 250 I'm looking to have built, I actually reached out to PRM to get a quote on them after I
Nice.
watched your video.
There you go.
So I'm debating, man, on going with them because they have really fair prices when it comes to the overall. Like if you're going like the well-known, right? I think he's still making a name for himself. So if you're going with like the well-known, I mean, those prices are way higher. So I'm debating because my friend also welds. He actually built the 150 for me.
Okay.
I'm seeing if he has capacity. If not, I'm probably going to go to PRM because they look really fair. But I'm debating on a circle. But they do the square of boxes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, Paul makes a great product, and like you said, yeah, he's been doing it. He's been welding for a very long time.
Yeah.
20 plus years, but he just started PRM, I think 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Like you said, they got a great product. They've got great prices. And the thing that ultimately, one of the main reasons I went with them, there were several, but one of the main reasons was the time.
Yeah. 90 days.
90 days. You're not getting that pretty much.
6
You're
months.
not getting that from a big name. It's not happening. Like I got guys on the channel who are telling me, oh yeah, I have this guy building my pit. I got this company building my pit. It'll be ready next January. I'm like, bro, I don't have
time for that. Hey, we like low and slow, not that low and slow, my boy. I was like, hey.
But on the cooking grate, just to kind of reiterate what you said, Eli, is that ideally, right, they make those holes in the cooking grate because you want those old coals that are cold and getting ashy to drop through and make room for the new coals. That way, like you had mentioned, because if you've got that gray ash that's cold, it's going to be very hard for that fire to keep going. So the grate's there so that those old coals drop down and gone, and you can let the new coals form from the wood that you're burning, right? Because it's replacing your fuel source. When you add another log, you're just anticipating having to replace the first logs you put on. You know, eventually those are going to be your coal bed.
Yes.
The initial coal bed's there. You throw your logs on, but at some point that initial coal bed drops through the grate, and those logs that you put on become your new coals.
Okay.
Right.
So cooking from the grate is okay because I was cooking out of the when I bought it. He had the shaping dishes. You know, the shaping dishes that you put the water in.
Yeah.
And he had cut holes in the bottom for airflow. So that's what he was using, and it was work. You know, it holds the coal. It was just the coals would stay in there all day, all night.
Yeah. It's not bad.
But my dad was like, "No, you're not. That's not the way it's supposed to. You're supposed to be on a grate, so the ashes can fall down."
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Eli, this is a question for you, brother. Social Reloader said, with the insulated firebox, what temps are you cooking with? Are you getting good smoke flavor on the food?
I don't know about y'all, but like after I do a long cook and then the split after, I can't taste smoke worth a damn. But but the feedback I've gotten is that it's nice and it's not that like you're burping it like 2 hours later. It's a nice clean. I use post soak, right? Nice clean smoke. I could show you like pictures on my Instagram and stuff, but we get a nice like smoke ring, and it's good. The big thing about the insulated box is you gotta like, it's almost like the opposite. So it's sipping on wood, so you just got to take some of those coals out and keep the wood in there so you get that flavor, right? So like if you keep all the coals in, you could put maybe one log. That's not going to give you a lot of smoky flavor. So I got to take some of the coals out, and then it's a square box, so I'm preheating my wood on the top of that box.
Yep.
So the bottom's going to catch, and then I'm putting it close together, so it's kind of smothered, but not really. So it's really light flame, and that's where I get the best smoky flavor.
Dude, if you guys aren't following Eli on Instagram, it's Hope Smokes Barbecue. Those beef ribs look heavenly, my friend.
Bro, they were talking about beef ribs. I was driving home. I wanted to message so bad, dude. Those beef ribs, you'll get those, and they look nice, right? And I know what he's talking about. They were selling them at Restaurant Depot and then Costco. It was like a 2-pack, right?
Yeah.
And there was like 6 ribs, but they shrink up. Not you got to cook them hot and fast. If you don't trim them, because they have that membrane on top.
Okay.
If you don't trim them, you got to cook them hot and fast. Not hot and fast, right? But like on the offset, I'm putting them on the first door, not right next to it, but I'm putting them on the first door, and I'm rotating them. You're going to get nice pullback, and you're going to get nice rendering, because those are very rich. So if you don't do that, and it's all like unrendered fat, that's not it.
Okay, so say that again. So you're cooking them hot and fast, and you're cooking them closer to the firebox?
Closer than I would put my briskets like initially. So they're not right on the close to the firebox, but the first like hour or two, I call it like my cold smoke period.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys do the same, but I don't build a coal bed and then put logs on. I build a lump charcoal chimney, right? Lump charcoal chimney, put that in, spread it out, and then I have little splits of wood that I'm minimizing airflow, and then I'm getting a smoky fire. I'm bringing the proteins up from cold to set out. Very delicate, because if not, you're going to get curling. You're going to get, all that. So I'm bringing it up the same way I do beef ribs. It's in that cold, but since it's in my first door, it's got like 250, 275, whereas my briskets in the last door are like 225, 250. So they just get there a little bit sooner. That's all it is.
Yeah, so I'm looking at your fire here, and I'm noticing that your square rack is only like an inch from the bottom of your firebox.
You don't need much room.
Yeah, so we just built mine. Mine's sitting six inches from the bottom.
6 inches from the bottom.
6 inches from the bottom. I mean, it's a pretty good gap for sure.
So you're going to get a lot of airflow down there, right?
I'm getting a lot of airflow down there. Yeah.
That might also be why you're burning through so much wood.
I think so.
Be, man.
I think so.
I'm really minimizing it, because that's the stack I have is pulling a lot, and I'm even closing it at like halfway, that damper.
Yes.
To keep most of that in there, and it's still pulling.
And just so everybody knows, there are some rules and guidelines and things like that we're talking about that is good advice, but every smoker pit's going to smoke different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Every one of them, insulated firebox versus not insulated firebox, Oklahoma Joe versus Old Country Pecos, custom built pit like Eli's working on, or a pit for PRM. Like everything's you got to learn the ins and outs of your specific smoker and just figure out what works.
Can I show you a picture here, guys?
Yeah.
My dad just put that rack in for me there. So, I don't know if that's too high from the bottom there.
How's your so you cook with the damper like halfway? You said
the damper's actually just been fully open. I actually didn't even have a damper for the first couple of weeks. Now I have a damper, so I will be dampening.
Will be dampening. I like that.
I will be dampening for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Tailgate 360, there is a balance. You do want good airflow so that you're running a clean fire and you're getting clean smoke. But if you have too much airflow, then you're burning through wood constantly.
Burning through wood.
Like fire
Right.
air. You're burning through wood constantly, and if you're trying to cook low and slow, you're going to go through a lot of wood.
Yeah.
And wood goes through different phases as far as the burn. There's a whole scientific, I don't have the correct word, but we'll use formula that chemical reactions that wood goes through. Franklin actually talks about it in that book he just ordered that I had you order, the Smoky Meat Manifesto. He talks a little bit about kind of the science behind how wood burns and the different phases of it. So like what Eli was talking about kind of doing almost like a cold smoke, where you don't have a big coal bed at first. You're just kind of burning those splits. that's going to give you different reactions than if you do have a big, nice cold bed. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong. It's just, it's different. You know, there's different, it's going to get a different result, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's saying airflow is key to a good cook. That's true.
Yeah.
But there is a balance, right? There is a balance. And when you say hot and fast on your beef ribs, Eli, you already said they're cooking about 275. How many hours is it? Because I see your beef ribs, and when I see them, it's got a very dark bark,
Yeah.
like a brisket, but they're falling off the bone. How long are you cooking those beef ribs at 275?
So it depends on the size of them, but it's generally like 6 to 8. I mean, I say hot and fast. It's just hotter than I would do my brisket. It's not like I ain't cranking it like 325, 350. It's still 250, 300 max, like on that side.
Yeah.
So they'll take 6 to 8. They'll develop a good bark, but I don't know about y'all, but for the briskets, I use like the upper 2/3 choice. For beef ribs, it just depends on the best that I can find. But the bark development, I've been seasoning the day before. Not only is the flavor coming through a lot better throughout the meat, but the bark, dude. The bark is like barking from the day before. But I know not everybody has like the fridge capacity for that too. Like if you're running 6 to 8, that's a lot that you don't want to stack them on each other, right? But that's really where that bark comes from.
And everyone has a different understanding of low and slow and hot and fast, apparently too, right?
Yeah.
Because I would still say I cook my briskets low and slow, but I think I do finish them a little bit faster than other people. But if you've ever seen pictures of my brisket, I get a really good render, like all the fats 100% completely rendered through. Because I'll start my briskets almost like a cold smoke, but I'll start them at about 225 for 3 hours.
Same.
And then that 3 to 4 hour mark, it's getting bumped up to 250.
Right.
And then after that 3 to 4 hour mark, we get into hour 5, 6, 7.
That's stall time.
It's going to 275.
Yeah.
I'm cooking at 275 from then until I wrap, as well as throughout the finish of the cook.
Right.
And depending on the size of the brisket, where it's located on the smoker, my briskets typically finish on average, I would say at 10 hours. 10 hours is the sweet spot. Like I usually only check the briskets maybe twice in the first 10 hours. But I know I get my briskets on at 7 a.m. And so at 5 p.m., that's 10 hours. I know at 5 p.m., those briskets they should be almost ready to come off, if not ready to come off.
Yeah.
But I never cook them longer than 12. I've never had a brisket take longer than 12.
Yeah, and I think as long as you have steady fire management, like you'll achieve what you're talking about, like 9 to 10.
Yeah. But that's a problem a lot of people have, though. Is they fall asleep or they drink too many beers or whatever.
Passed out.
Yeah, because some people message me and they're like, oh, yeah, I cook my briskets for 15, 16 hours. And I'm like, bro, you're doing too much.
It's not a flex, man. It's not a flex. It's like, damn, that's either a big ass brisket or you took a nap, my boy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you take a long nap.
You must not have trimmed anything off the brisket.
Yeah, you done take that out of the package, season it, put it on there. But
what's a beef cheek?
Beef cheek, man. Oh my goodness.
Eli, please.
Beef cheeks. Okay, so Leroy and Lewis kind of brought it to the fold, like where during COVID they couldn't get briskets out. So I don't know if you're Leroy and Lewis are like one of the goats, bro. So beef cheek is just that. It's beef cheeks, 2 on a cow, and then have you heard of barbacoa?
Barbacoa?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hell yeah. So it's that and lengua, which is like the
beef tongue.
Yeah. So lengua, right? So usually those in combination make barbacoa, right? So what I do is similar to Leroy. I'll trim everything off of the beef cheek. The scrap is going to my barbacoa, right? And then the cheek, I keep it whole and I treat it like a brisket. Smoke it with that's purely salt and pepper. Smoke it for like 6 hours. Then I'll take it off, put it in the sheet pan, full of tallow. So it's kind of like sitting in its tallow, saran wrap, foil wrap, and then you can put it in the oven if you want until it's ready. You can hot hold it too, and then it just falls apart. Like its connective tissue is just like butter. It's like there's nothing like it.
I have heard, Greg. I've never cooked beef cheeks, not yet, but I've heard they're freaking heavenly. And I did see that video on your page, Eli.
Hey,
I mean, dude, they look
it's different.
absolutely amazing.
They look amazing. Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks.
and I'm in
How do
San
you?
Antonio, man. So you gotta have like some taco. You gotta have some tortilla, like beef
So
cheeks,
that's for tacos.
Yeah, I like I give like tortillas out if they want tortillas or bread. So I have a mix of both, and then my wife makes the salsas. So we have our barbecue sauce. It's like a little different, right? Barbecue sauce, and then we have like red and green salsa too. So
Mhm.
Brisket Daddy, you got a question from Uncle T's Barbecue. What's your Instagram?
The Brisket Daddy Barbecue.
There you go. And Eli, what's your Instagram?
it's Hope Smokes Barbecue.
There you go. The Brisket Daddy Barbecue and Hope Smokes Barbecue. So Eli, tell us a little bit kind of about what you're doing, man. Do you have a restaurant? Are you doing a pop-up? You got a food truck? What are you doing?
Sure, man. So I do pop ups primarily, but mainly caterings. We pop up so people can try our food, but
Hmm.
it's mainly trying to like go to the catering crowd. I mean, I've done where I just pull up and sell, right? And it's good when it's good, it's bad when it's bad. Like if people don't show up, kind of like, man, you're eating all that cost, right? So if we don't sell, if we do a pop up, you don't sell, we'll try to go sample out to businesses or whoever's available. Hey, this is what we do. Hey, this is what we do. Word of mouth, right? So when I used to work in the restaurant, I used to work at Jimmy John's, so I was a sampler. Okay, so I used to go to for that, right? I used to go
Hmm.
to corporate places, just hand out samples, whatever, and it always built good business. So I kind of learned on that.
Yeah.
So whatever I don't sell, I'll try to go sample it. If we do sell out, it's great. Um, but I do prefer, like as anyone, I think, like the catering gigs. You know how much people there are there. You have a set price, right? I know how much I need to bring and tailor the experience. So that's why I'm looking for a 250, so I can on a trailer, so I could take it to the event, and kind of like dish it out that way.
Hmm.
But Hope Smokes Barbecue, we've been doing this for about like 7 years off and on. It's me and my wife, kind of like doing it when we can on the weekends. I got a full-time job. I'm actually working right now as we speak. I work at an engineering firm, and then I do this on the side. I'm trying to flip flop it. Right, it's my dream, but as of right now, I'm keeping my 8 to 5 and kind of just doing this on the side.
Yeah.
And then Hope Smokes is just named after my daughter. I have 3 babies, all girls. Uh, my first daughter, it was during the 18th week. We actually had a miscarry, so the name of my second daughter is Hope, and so she's named after the business. She's our Hope baby, right? Because we were scared to death. So she came out, so I named it after her, Hope Smokes, and now I got a third daughter. So there's no favorites, right? But the business is named after Hope. But that's what we try to bring, man. We try to bring a little hope to everybody with a little bit of barbecue, beef
I
cheeks,
like the
whatever it
story.
is, bro. That's what it
I,
is.
I like the story. I love
Yeah,
that. So, so you said you started with the pop-ups to kind of get your name, your brand, so people will know what your food tastes like, right?
right.
And then so from there, you've kind of maneuvered into the catering arena, right? So, hey, 50 people, 100 people, you know how much food you need to bring. Uh, so then you go out and you do pop-ups kind of like whenever you can, whenever you don't
Hmm.
have a catering event. Booked, right? That's what your model is so far.
That's what it is so far. Yeah. I mean, events will do like Easter, right? We just had a cook. I can only fit 6 briskets on that 150, and that's pushing it. Um, so I sold out of those, and like sold it with sausage, like a bundle. Came with sauce, everything, right? So we'll do stuff like that for events like holidays. Corporate events though, like we did a Sam's Club and they just wanted 150, like for 150 associates, 2 per, so it was 300 like pulled pork sandwiches. So we did those. Like I've done birthdays, have like a quince. So there's stuff like that we're really aiming towards, but that's not guaranteed. So, and also like if somebody sees a post, they're like, "Oh, that looks good," but I never had it. That's why I do the pop up. So I'm like, "Hey, if you're interested in it, I'm gonna be over here. I'm gonna post up. Come by, get a little, you know what I mean? Get a little sample of what we have."
Yeah. Right. So what's the biggest catering order you've done?
Uh, Probably max capacity was like 6 briskets. I did everything. It was 8 racks of ribs and the smoked turkeys, like 6 of those smoked turkeys, elote corn, poblano mac and cheese, and pinto beans.
Awesome.
And that was like a house party, kind of like it was an anniversary for a couple, and we just showed up. Actually, slice everything on site, give them a little bit more of like the craft barbecue to you sort of a deal. It took a little longer, but you got to charge for it too, right? Like here are my options. Like I got craft barbecue, like I could bring it to you, slice per order. It really gives that factor of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, this is nice barbecue. Or you could do it in the chafing dishes or whatever. But that was like the biggest event. And then the Sam's Club was kind of 300 orders for pulled pork sandwiches. So that both like private event and corporate, you know.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
On the spot for the 300 sandwiches when you made those there at the facility on the parking lot or something?
No, that was fully done it wasn't in like a commercial kitchen. Like we had wrapped everything in foil and then put it in and it had a 2-ounce barbecue and then onions and pickles and jalapenos, kind of like ready to go.
Oh,
So yeah.
and you kept those sandwiches hot for a duration of what time period?
It was pretty quick. It was like 3 or 4 of us assembling. So
Oh, okay.
so I had everything, all the meats done before, and then when it was go time, maybe like I think it was like 45 minutes before we started getting everything and put it in the Camros.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, Eli, I got a question for you.
Sure, man.
Are you coming to the grand opening?
Dude, I want to, man. I want to try it. I've seen your stuff. I felt like you were talking to me because like I watch it when I'm working and you're like, there's people that watch it and don't comment or anything like that. I was just watching I was watching it and I was like, I have so many questions and so much like insight that I would like to like go back and forth, right?
Yeah.
So I watch it when I'm working. I'm just like, dang, 3-hour podcast, just like it's time for lunch, bro. You know?
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to make it out there, man. I think it'll be sick. I want to see the 250. You should probably make videos, man, like learning that 250.
I'm going to. I plan on making a lot of videos with it. Maybe I need Paul to slide me a little discount. I'll make a lot of good content.
Hey, just saying, man. Just saying, man. Biscuit test. How about a brisket test, bro?
Look, man, I could be an ambassador. I could be an ambassador for the company, man.
Hey, I reached out because of your video, so and I
You
told him too.
You reached out?
Yes, I did. I said Kirby, but
There you go.
Is it recommended to do a biscuit test on all your smokers so you personally know what's happening?
I have a different opinion to that. I'm gonna let Eli go ahead and answer that first.
I don't think the biscuit test is all that, to be honest. It's like 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I want to see that thing loaded down with like briskets, bro. Like or pulled pork, something that takes you to all ends of the cook, right? Because you're maintaining temps, all the draw. But biscuit is like the common that I've seen that everybody does because it's cheap biscuits and also like you can get a gauge of it. But that's my opinion.
And it's good content for these creators. I try to tell people all the time, and this is me kind of taking a shot at people, just having fun, that like there's content creators who do barbecue, and then there's barbecue guys who do content. I'm a barbecue guy who does content. I'm not putting any damn biscuits on my smoker.
Same.
I'm a like Eli said, I'm gonna load that thing up with some brisket, some sausage, some turkey, some ribs, and I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna learn on the
So
job.
you're right.
You're
Yeah.
gonna learn today.
That's right. That's right. I think biscuit test is just a way to get some more views.
Yeah.
Can is it possible to have too much smoke on our briskets? Like, you look at your brisket and you're at let's just say 6 hours in, and this thing is pitch black, and you're like, oh, I've got the look that I want. Maybe that feel isn't what you need, and we're definitely not temping anymore to 165, 75. Don't do that anymore. So my question is it possible to have too much smoke? Can you get too much char, blackish going on your brisket?
I I don't think you can get too much on there per se, as far as I mean, unless you're cooking like at some kind of ridiculous temperatures, whether that's too low or too high. But like Goldie's is famous for the no wrap brisket.
Mhm.
I've done plenty of no wrap briskets,
Hmm.
and they've turned out great, depending on the smoker, right? Because like I try to always talk about this. If Eli says he watches my video or listens to my videos always, he knows this. The smaller smokers, it's going to burn the ends and the bottoms of your briskets, like the
Yeah.
Oklahoma Joe that you're using, the Old Country Pecos that I'm using. Going 12 hours on one of those things, it's almost necessary for you to wrap them. Otherwise, you are going to lose product because it's too burnt up. The bottom's too
You
hard.
get that charred bottom.
Yeah, you got having to chop through it, stuff like that. So you almost have to wrap it. But on the bigger pits, like 1,000-gallon pits that Goldie's uses, you can do a no wrap brisket, and it's not going to come out, um, bad. But I have had customers say, "Man, a lot of barbecue places I go to, the meat is too smoky, but yours was just the right amount of smoke." So I'm not really sure exactly. Well, actually, I have a hypothesis. I think a lot of people do try to use the barbecue method. And
Hmm.
if you don't know what that is, what they do is they'll literally cold smoke the briskets overnight, and then they'll finish them in the morning. So like they're cold, like a true cold smoke is 150 degrees,
Yeah.
and a lot of guys will do their sausages at 150. They'll use pig curing salt in their sausages, which I do as well, and they'll cook them the day before they're going to sell them, or a couple days before, at 150, and they'll cold smoke them so it's hot enough to get it to cooking temperature of 150, like safe temperature 150, but it's cold enough to where they can leave it on there for a long time without it burning up, and you get a lot of that red color that you're
Mhm.
looking for from the smoke. And so anyway, some people try to do that with the brisket. And I think if you do that too long, your brisket's going to be way too smoky and it's going to be overwhelming for your customers. So I get a lot. I don't know about you, Eli. I'll let you comment on this in a minute, but I get a lot of customers who say that a lot of the barbecue places they go to, the meat is too smoky and that mine's just right. That's kind of the feedback that I get sometimes, but I don't really think the bark and stuff like that really has anything to do with that part of it. I think it's more of, like I mentioned, what temperature they're smoking it at and for how long.
Yeah. No, I just I mean, what I would say is, I mean, there's a difference between like the bark getting barky and like getting burnt. So like if you're getting the crispy edges, like when I had was it the Pecos or like the Old Country, um, it's really thin metal, so it's really hard to manage it because you need to keep feeding it because it's really thin metal. It's not retaining it a lot, but also if you feed it too much, it's going to burn up your edges if you're not running the fire correctly, and all the heat's coming from the bottom and the side. So if you just let it go unwrapped, like most of the time, you're going to get that crispy edge, like or the crispy bottom that you're going to have to cut through. So if you don't flip it, I mean, I would recommend if you're cooking on one of those to kind of like get a foil boat method, and that really helps protect the bottom and the edges. That's how I was doing it before I upgraded to the 150. I mean, it's night and day cooking on like a propane thick smoker with the
Yeah.
insulated box than you know what I mean, the thin metal. Like I think we all started off or in that zone, right? So it's like night and day. Concerning like Yeah, if it's just getting bark and it's still soft and it's rendering, I don't think it's a problem. I'm using post oak though, so I'm not sure what wood you're using, but I know if I've heard that feedback where they're like, "Hey, this place has a lot of like it's like dirty smoke."
Too much.
Usually, it's like with mesquite or something like that, man.
Yeah.
It's a little mesquite with a long cook. You really got to balance it with other woods, in my opinion. But
And
everybody does their own thing.
yeah, and that's why we use post oak here in
Yeah.
Central Texas, is because those other woods like mesquite or hickory, stuff like that, it can give you an overwhelming smoky flavor, and that's why oak is kind of the king of Texas barbecues. What most of the top joints use. But also, Eli, you got to keep in mind. I know you moved up to the big leagues. You got that custom pit with, but the old country pits, man, and you'll see the difference when you see mine. It is a much thicker metal. It's at least it seems thicker and a better quality than like an Oklahoma Joe's.
Yeah,
Like
I think that's what I'm thinking of is the Oklahoma Joe because the old countries are thicker. I think
they are thicker. I think there's a big difference between the Oklahoma Joe and the old country.
Mhm.
And then obviously from the old country to something like what you're using or professional pit from PRM or Primitive or one of the big guys, there's a big jump in each different category.
Yeah.
In the metal that they use, for sure. And like I told you, Greg, earlier, is that might also be why you're burning through wood, because that metal's so thick, it's not retaining heat very well. Not only in the firebox, but the cook chamber. Like as soon as I got my old country Pecos, the welds were not bad on them, but I used the lava lock kit and I sealed up the entire cook chamber. So I'm not getting any heat or smoke escaping from the cook chamber. It's all getting trapped in there. Uncle T's Barbecue said you can get too much dirty smoke if you're using wet wood. You can definitely taste difference between that thick white smoke if someone's been cooking it for a long time. Yeah?
True.
Yeah, for sure. Ralph said one factor in pricing is area. I could never sell a rack of ribs for $75. Be able to go 35. When I do catering gig, I cut my racks into 3-bone sections. Yeah, I don't ever sell a rack of ribs for $75, but if you price it out by the pound, if it's 2.5 pounds a rack, which is typically what I get out of a rack of ribs, then that equates to $75 in sales, right? I'm selling at $30 a pound. So if you got 10 ribs on a rack, that's $75. So it's hard for me to sell somebody a rack of ribs for $30 when I can make $75 on that rack.
Yeah.
Ralph also said minimal timing on a beef rib for me. Okay. Sounds like he's cooking it hot and fast.
No, timing. I thought that said trimming. Okay, minimal timing.
Maybe he meant trimming. Yeah, that sounds probably more like what he meant.
Yeah, I'll just curve the edges, Ralph. That's what I'll do. That's it, the bulk of it, and I'll score the bottom, the membrane.
Okay. So you're not removing the membrane on the bottom, you're just scoring it.
No, if I removed it, I've done it once or twice. If I remove it, those things are like hanging off. And if you're selling it by the pound and it's like falling off, to put it back on the scale is kind of like, you know what I mean? Because the way it goes is like you pay for the bone, you got to charge for the bone sort of deal. So I just score it, and usually when the customer gets it, I mean, it would just come right off.
Okay. Uncle T's Barbecue says, what do you consider burning too fast? About how many logs do you add per hour or 30 minutes? Not sure if my smoker is considered efficient or not. I put on about a 14-inch log every 40 minutes or so. I mean, I would say that's fairly efficient. Like I said, it depends on your smoker, right? I'm using Old Country Pecos offset, and then I also have an Old Country vertical. And I'm adding woods roughly every 45 minutes to an hour. So I would say that's fairly efficient. What do you think, Eli?
That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Next time, you do these every week, right?
Yeah.
Next time, if you're up for it, I'll join and then I'll have the smoker going with something on it, man. I'll show y'all.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's usually like every 45 minutes.
Yeah. Say about every 45 minutes would be
You set a
efficient.
timer. You set a timer.
No,
On,
I don't. I just in my head, I'm just like, oh, I gotta go check the fire. I gotta do it. But that's how I do it.
do you prep a piece of wood? Like, do you put it on top of your smoker or kind of close to the fire so it kind of gets
That's good
hot?
practice. That's good practice. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not gonna say it happens all the time. I'm not gonna say it happens every time for me anyway. But that is good practice. The wood will definitely catch on fire faster because the heat from that firebox
Yeah.
is removing moisture from the
Mhm.
wood, and it's going to catch that wood will catch on fire much quicker.
Mhm.
I keep bringing this up, but you're in California. Those trees out there, they don't get much rain, and so they
No,
don't
yeah,
take
they
that wood
matter
to
of fact,
light, bro.
they catch on fire on top of the smoke bar. Went out the other day and I was like, "Oh shoot, I had wood on fire on
You
top
feel
of
it.
the top of the smoker."
That's wild, bro.
That's
Yeah.
scary, man.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
you
got to be
don't. Maybe you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, and you're from San Antonio. I mean, it's still Texas, but shoot, especially here in Houston, man, we got the Gulf right there. It's super humid here all the time.
You got any more chats in the anybody else on the chat? Say have any questions or anything for us?
Tello says, I have a workhorse 1975. It's a great pit. Okay.
Those are built real nice.
All right. All right. Well, maybe I need to get a referral link from PRM. Maybe I need to get me a little referral link or something.
Yeah, you need to be an ambassador
Yeah.
minimum.
I might have to talk to him about that. But cool, man. Well, what else, Eli? What you have any questions for Greg or myself or anything you want to talk about, man?
No, man. I think I can speak for everybody, man. We appreciate the content y'all putting out consistently. If I was looking to kind of move into it, I would definitely consider like that coaching. I've definitely considered it, but I'm like, man, I got to see where I'm going first.
Yeah.
Because I really don't know. I quoted for PRM like a 500 on a trailer just so I could build into it, and
Yeah.
still, man, it was like competitive.
Yeah.
Because my whole vision is like having a 500 or a 250 on a trailer with a direct grill right next to it that I could feed coals to it for like chicken. Like I really like direct cooks for some things, but no, just keep it up, definitely the open invite is cool, man. Next time I have the fire burning so you guys can kind of see, because any excuse to put on the pit to turn it on, I'll do it.
Well, brother, you're welcome on the live anytime for sure. Absolutely, 100%. We'd love to have you at the grand opening if you can make the trip one of those days. And yeah, I mean, as far as the coaching goes, whatever you want to do, man, if you feel like it's going to be beneficial for you, pull the trigger, especially if you're kind of thinking about moving into a bigger pit, maybe making some other moves. I can kind of do what I can to help guide you and what direction I think you should go. And it's good to have another opinion,
Yeah.
other perspectives to kind of think about. But I just love talking about this stuff. So
Yeah. Can kind of just
Yeah.
jump into it.
Yeah, Eli. So when you're not doing the pop up because you're working and it's the weekend, weekends you can't do it, and you don't have any catering jobs, what do you do? I ask because I find myself in the same situation. I started December 25th, 26th, and today is April 26th was yesterday. So 4 months. Within 4 months, I would say maybe I've got to go back and look 10 pop-ups just to kind of start. I was wanted to make an extra change just to go to Mexico, and it turned into a whole, you know, business, thing now, right? And so I find myself now not able to go out for another month because I have a catering event coming up. Um, what do you tell people when they call? Are they calling and saying, "Hey, where are you going to be?" Or just giving you dates for events. What's it look like for you moving forward?
Yeah, so we have a like a calendar kind of what our cooks are going to be, but really like I have been dialing it back until we get the trailer because I really just want to have the trailer out there while we're smoking, even though I'm not doing briskets and things like that at that time. Um, really like it's kind of like a baby's crying in the back. It's
That's
really
fine.
like a like oh shoot, like this is nice. I feel like it's going to be nice barbecue if you see a pit
Good
like that,
marketing, man. Good
huh?
marketing. It's good marketing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. So if to answer your question though, if we're not doing this, I mean, I work 8 to 5 and like a lot of overtime sometimes for my job. So usually I'm just putting more time in so I can put it to what I want to do, and also recipe testing. You know, we're always trying to dial in our recipes, get our costs down, get our flavor up. So just doing stuff like that. You know, trying to work at it. But yeah, people do hit me up and be like, "Hey, when are you going to do plates, or where are you going to be at?" And I just say like, "Not this weekend, but just follow us on Instagram. We'll post it on there, and we do like drops. So I don't know if you guys have used Hot Plate before. You guys have heard of it before.
Huh?
So you pretty much just do a drop like for the Super Bowl, right, or whatever event, the playoffs or draft day, whatever you want to do. Put it on there. You could set it. Put a date on there of when pre-orders open and when they close, and people can go on there and actually order, so you can get a gauge of how much meat you need to cook. And you just put like a pickup location. So we did it at an HOA by the pool, right? So I just put the address over there. Hey, pick up over here. They set their pickup window, and then it will pop up on my phone like, hey, whoever's coming over for their pickup in 15 minutes, and then you can get everything ready, sort of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives us a gauge of how much to cook, roughly, right? But when we are doing events and we redo it, so when they sign up, they put their phone number in there, and as soon as I put a new drop, it goes out and says, "Hey, Hope Smokes is doing an event. This is where they're going to be at." So if you haven't looked into it, there's a fee that you can pay at the checkout or whatever. So it's like $3 or something like that. So there is that added fee, but it is really convenient.
Hmm.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that. I have to look into that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm gonna be missing my customers, not going back out for a while. Like I really want to get out there, but I feel like I'm gonna miss them. I guess they'll be all right until I return.
Wow. Thank you for hopping on the live, Eli.
Yeah, no
We're
problem.
getting close to 10 p.m. Central Time.
It sure is. It sure
We're
is.
gonna shut it down. I've already finished almost this whole bottle of champagne.
Hey, congrats on the new house, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
For sure.
Yeah, man, I was a military brat, so I've lived in 9 different states and 25 different houses in the last 30 years. So closing on the house was a big deal for me, and I will be staying here for a very long time.
Nice.
So
That's
that's the
good. Congrats again. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah,
deal.
appreciate
Of
talking
course,
to y'all.
man.
Anytime.
Yeah.
All right,
Come
thanks.
back again.
Any closing words,
Yep.
Mr. Brisket Daddy?
Oh, we're gonna close it out. Yes. If you got to sell yourself more than anybody else will. Like, I'm walking around Costco, I'm walking in the grocery store, I'm at the church, and I got business cards and I got a hat, and I'm promoting myself every time I walk out the door. And so I just want to let everybody know that you got to sell yourself. You got to believe in yourself when nobody else does. Even if it takes looking silly wearing a big hat, if it sells brisket, I'm wearing it. So my only advice to people is just, yeah, just sell yourself, promote yourself, believe in yourself. It's going to be hard work, uh, long days by yourself, right? You know about that, Sean, right? In the kitchen on the solo tip. Uh, but
Uh,
if you have a dream and you have a passion, it definitely will work itself out. You just got to be committed to it and dedicated. Got to be dedicated.
there you go. Eli, any closing words, my friend?
First off, is you got to send me where you got that hat because I need. I need one. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I'll get you for sure.
Yeah, I need one. And then no man, it's just like I know like I get on the space where I'm like, man, like I was starting in the backyard. Do people really would people buy this? You gotta believe in yourself, man. You
Hmm.
know what you got, you gotta believe in yourself, you know what you got is good, and then you know, in testing the market, don't be like, oh well, he only sells it for this much. Man, don't sell yourself short. You know what you got. Um, Stay true to it, and feedback comes, listen to it. Don't let it bog you down, but grow from it. That's it.
There you go. There you go.
Great
Well,
advice.
thank you, two gentlemen. It is
Yes.
Sunday night. I'm sure you guys could be spending some time with the family, watching a movie, doing something else, but you decided to hang out with me on this live stream. So I appreciate it. I really do. And we'll do another one next week. So usually I go live Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But if I miss the Wednesday, I try to do Sunday. So that's kind of the deal. But awesome, guys. We'll appreciate everyone who tuned in. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.